Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Karting Live TV, where this weekend we are bringing you all of the action from Warden Law, just on the northeast coast of England, just south of the city of Sunderland. Warden Law, one of my favourite tracks, if not the favourite track, and that's probably because I only live 2 miles away. The weather here is chilly but bright. We have got the Kart Championship Winter Series, second event for that one. And we'll explain why we're calling it an event, not a championship. Simply, it's not a championship. It's a Winter Series event. My name is Joe Bradley. I'm with you all weekend. And beside me for this one is, once again, David Sullivan. David, we're here at Warden Law. It's a track like you and I are more than familiar with. But what is it that everybody tells me? Everybody's telling me how much they love Warden Law. What is it about Warden Law that everybody's loving?
Well, it's not just everybody here, it's everybody in the country, clearly, Joe, because yesterday at the Motorsport UK British Kart Championship Awards, an event held at this circuit was given the honour of being the best event of the year. That was the Rotax Grand Festival that was held here a few months ago, and we're going to see some of those drivers racing later on as well. It's also, as you can see on the right-hand side of our screen, an event, a circuit that has had a lot of development in the last couple of years under the stewardship of Hunters and a few others, a circuit manager whose name you're going to remind me of. Well, he's not here at the moment, is he? He's arriving.
Well, I'll tell you what, throw to me and I'll fill those gaps in. Yeah, I mean, Matt Hunter.
Joe, fill some gaps in.
Matt Hunter and the Hunter family have poured a lot of energy and resources into this place. And there you see on the screen there, the new garage complex, the new home of Hunter Motorsport, Paul Bainbridge and all of the staff at Karting North East. They are the people that have earned that accolade, and Matt and Paul were down at Silverstone for that championship presentation, and it's a big congratulations for them to take the MSUK event of the year. I think not the first time as well. We are racing though. We have got karts on track and out. We've got two classes of Bambinos. Right up my street, David. Multi-class racing this. We've got petrol engines and we've got electric engine Bambinos. And we've got two grids, two races in one with separate starts. That's not going to be hard for us to cover, is it?
Not at all. The first race of the day has been won by one of the Bambino parents as they make their way down to meet their drivers on the grid. But as you say, Joe, it'll be Comas going off first, followed by our electric motors in Mighty for the second start.
Right, I'll quickly run down the grid. First, the petrol engines, Coma engines. Hendrix Fallat, a 1 minute 10.32. Great time from him. Puts himself on the pole position for the C50s. Wraith Owens alongside. Second row is Jensen O'Connor and Calman Simon. Calman, remember, winner of the first winter event at Wilton Mill. Third row of the grid, Benjamin Shivar, spring champion here at Warden Law Car Club is Benjamin. He's fifth with Tommy Lovejoy alongside him on the third row. Fourth row is Lani Aidon, Oliver Bullock alongside. Fifth row is Isaac Young and Alfie Ward. And then we'll get into the electric ones.
Yeah, it's Arthur Bowers who'll start on pole position. He's got Oliver Woodall for company. Row 2, Heath Smith and Jensen James Williams in front of Junior Wright and Freddie Dye. Then it's going to be Ethan Hume and Arthur Rhodes, Arthur Thompson and Ava Garrett. The grid completed in 21st place by Noah Brad.
The Mighty Bambinos, one of the success stories, I think, of the car championship. And I know this talk of an electric-powered cadet motor, etc., as we get the Comas away. And into turn one for the first race of the weekend. We've got side-by-side action already, and that's a second row starter already up into second by Brian's Bend.
Yeah, Jensen O'Connor with a great start from the inside of the second row. Slots in behind poleman Hendrix Fallat, who's got a new livery, not only on his kart, but also on his helmet, as he runs a Nigel Mansell-esque helmet and livery for this weekend.
Great move down the inside at St John's from Benjamin Shivar from fifth on the grid there. Now Benjamin up into 30s. Being demoted down to fourth. Benjamin in the green helmet there. Fourth kart in that train. And as quickly as he made that third place move, he's back to fourth.
Calvin Simon makes his way through. As in the background, we saw our Mighties getting themselves underway. We'll pick those up in a few moments' time. But it is Hendrix Fallat leading from Jensen O'Connor and then Calvin Simon. And O'Connor is going to go down the inside into the Gasworks hairpin, but then runs wide and back through comes Hendrix Fallat to retake the lead.
I love these Bambinos, David. Doesn't matter what track they're on, they have the space to be able to make moves where you think there's no move available there for any of our other classes. These Bambinos really know how to race.
Yeah, they benefit massively as well from the slipstream as they run up towards turn one here, and Jenson O'Connor is again down the inside of Hendrix Ballat, this time in a more advantageous place, and he will hold on to the lead this time as they run up towards this right-hand complex of the dogleg, which we'll talk about later on, Joe, because I want to introduce those new curbs to people that are unfamiliar with Warden Law or haven't been here for a year or so.
Yeah, it certainly changed the feel of the track, and in fact, I'm pretty sure it has increased or decreased lap time. It's made the track even faster with a lot of runoff there. We get the usual Bambino train of 5 there: Fallat, O'Connor, Simon, Shivar, with Wraith Owen and Tommy Lovejoy just falling off the back of this train and struggling to get back on. We'll have an update on the Might Ease in a moment, but it's very hard to pull ourselves away from this C50 battle at the moment, Nick.
Certainly is. The top 3 on a bit of a push away at the moment, actually, from Benjamin Shivar in that 4th place, who is being pushed along by Wraith Owen, but what he needs is something to happen, and something has happened, unfortunately. That's Hendrix Fallat round as they head up towards Paddock Bend.
Yeah, that was just not enough real estate to fit 2 karts in, and Fallat there with the Nigel Mansell helmet just found himself squeezed there, and I'm not quite sure whether his front end was connected with there or whether or not the back end of the car gave up and caused him to spin. Not sure about that. Not a clear view. We'll leave that one to the officials.
Well, you had Kalman Simon in his Ayrton Senna-esque helmet and
good point. Yeah.
And Hendrix Fallat in his Nigel Mansell-esque helmet, potentially shades of Adelaide in 1992, the final race of the season, which neither of them finished, unfortunately, on that day. At the moment, both of these two Bambinos that had that, let's say, argument over tarmac on the run up towards Paddock are both still running. Unfortunately, it has dropped. That
split that battle for 5 into 2 battles of 2 by 2. However, Shivar with the green helmet and the green kart there, just moving towards the back end of Kalman Simon. Simon with the yellow helmet challenging Jenson O'Connor as they come out. This is where the slipstream will come in. Shivar and Wraith Owen will want to close that gap, and that slipstream might work for them. They have to stay in line though, David, into turn 1.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly your 2 in 3rd and 4th place, they have to spend a couple of laps working together. But similarly, at the moment, it looks like Kalman Simon is driving well beyond his years at the moment, because he is not challenging Jenson O'Connor. He's pushing O'Connor and trying to get away from Benjamin Shivar and Wraith Owen, because it's easier to battle between 2 of you for the win than battle between 4 of you for the win.
I do remember Kalman Simon really kind of coming of age at Wilton Mill for the Car Championship Winter Series, where he took the win in the final, and it wasn't an easy win. He had to hold off a lot of pressure, and he was composed, and he's kind of learnt how to win, hasn't he? And he's looking composed, and Jenson O'Connor as composed as can be as well, and that's the problem, isn't it? Although the 4 drivers who are leading these C50 Bambinos at the moment, they've all won races at different levels, and they all know how to win races, and that's why I just love Bambinos. These guys really know how to race.
The top 2 battling now was Kalman Simon went slightly wide at the Gasworks hairpin that allowed Benjamin Shivar and Wraith Owen to close up, and I agree with what you were saying, Joe. I think Kalman Simon, and I hope people understand what I say here, he went from being a quick driver to a quick racing driver at Wilton Mill. He was always been quick, but sort of maybe lacked that little bit of race craft that I think he got at Wilton Mill, and I think that's made him that sort of step up to become a front runner now.
I think you can use the term confidence.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he's proved something to himself. He's proved the right to be at the front, and he knows that he's got a right to be there. This is great stuff now. 4 drivers: Jenson O'Connor, Kalman Simon, Benjamin Shivar, Wraith Owen. That's your 4. Wraith Owen, the driver at the back of that train with the orange helmet, he's been the quickest kart on the track for 2 consecutive laps now. He's put in the race fastest lap. So he's, dare I say, being stifled somewhat. I'm not going to say stifled, because he isn't. They're just racing absolutely nose to tail.
And certainly are, as they head towards the timing line once again. Don't want to forget about Mighty, but it's difficult, as you say, to break away from this one. But Oliver Woodall leading that one at the moment from Arthur Bowers. They've got a gap back to the rest of the field, but they're running nose to tail as we remain with the front of Coma. And We've only got 1:50, Joe, left. It's
gone
flying,
quick, hasn't it?
it?
Yeah, that's gone very quick. It tends to, doesn't it, when we are intrigued with this battle. It's not so much a waiting game. We're going to see karts like this in all of our classes this weekend, and for a first time as well, we've got a senior class in the Kart Championship in senior road tax. But usually we see people playing a waiting game. Not so much this one though, because this is pure racing, everybody, and that's Calman Simon into the lead, and Shivar going to take advantage, wheel to wheel, bit of wheel banging going on, and Shivar sideways, and the driver that's come out with the advantage is Raythorne.
Yeah, he's had to take evasive action and go across the grass. He didn't have any choice whatsoever in doing that, as here we see Shivar getting into the side of O'Connor. O'Connor then sticking it back down the inside of Benjamin Shivar, and all the way round the outside goes Raythorne up and over the grass, and he moves through into second place. He's been demoted down to third there by the look of it, as we've got a yellow flag at the final corner. Stationary kart on the cut through on the right hand side there, but Calman Simon now has just got a clear gap at the front of well over a second, maybe even two. He's just going to take this one to the checkered flag now.
It may be poignant, David, for us to point out to the viewers, if you are new to karting and the Kart Championship, these drivers are under 8 years old. That's 6 to 8 years old, these drivers, and I know we refer to them as if they are Nigel Mansell and Ayrton Senna, because that's how they race. But when you consider the age and what we saw there, wheel banging, not giving each other room, it's all part of the learning curve, isn't it?
Well, you look at Benjamin Shivar, he's no taller when he stands up than what he is when he sits in a kart. He is the tiniest little dot, and you just can't believe that drivers of that size can race at the level that they are racing at. Timer down to 0. It'll be the last lap when Calman Simon leads us over the timing line at the end of this one.
This is the battle for second. The yellow kart, the yellow nose of Jensen O'Connor, and the orange kart of Raythorne. Raythorne has been he's put in a couple of fastest laps, last one being on lap 4. We're now on lap 7. It'll be 7 laps completed next time by. Calman Simon already acknowledges that last lap to go board and continues on his way, but whether or not this is settled, certainly that incident at the chicane kind of settled things down, but I don't think this battle for second is over by a long shot, David.
No, and with 2 heats today as well, we're going to see them do it all over again. This top 4, probably not in the order that some of them would have hoped, but still the top 4 as it is, as Shivar didn't drop down too far. Hendricks Fallat, after that incident earlier on, is now back up into 5th place, so he'll be with them as well. The top 5 from this race will be together for heat number 2. All being well, half a lap to go. Calman Simon leading the way from Jensen O'Connor and Raythorne.
And of course we have got a Mighty Bambino heat also going on. We'll probably cover that more so in their second heat. At the moment, Arthur Bowers and Oliver Woodall with Heath Smith. That's your first 3 in Mighty. It's not massively close. There's about half a second between Bowers in first and Oliver Woodall in second, with Heath Smith a further 4 seconds behind. So a little bit spread out there as Calman Simon rounds the final turn, David.
Calman Simon will win the first race of the second event of the Kart Championship Winter Series from Jensen O'Connor and Raythorne. Benjamin Shivar crosses the line in P4. There's the recovering Hendricks Fallat crossing the line in 5th place. It'll be Tommy Lovejoy in P number 6 as he takes the flag now. Then there's quite a bit of a gap back, but there has been an intense battle throughout this race between Lady Eden and Isaac Young as they round the final corner. They're still being pursued as well by Alfie Ward as they all cross the line, and it is a very, very happy Lady Eden with her 9th place as they battle for position. What they have to do though here, Joe, is slow down almost immediately after the checkered flag, because the entry into pit lane is just to the left-hand side. We
just caught a glimpse there of the Mighties coming across the line. They were spread out. They certainly weren't spread out at the line. Arthur Bowers takes heat 1 from Oliver Woodall with a gap of 0.2 of a second. Arthur Rhodes was a little bit further back in third. And then we had Heath Smith, Jensen James Williams, Junior Wright, Freddie Dye, Noah Brad, Arthur Thompson, Ava Garrett, and then the novice driver, Ethan Hume, rounding off the Might E grid. We'll be following the Might E race at the second heat. And who's that been recovered?
So that's Ethan Hume's kart now.
Right, there
he is a novice, but he is a race winner, and he is very, very good. I just don't think he's done too many Motorsport UK events. They had a very difficult qualifying session earlier on. Problems with that kart that appear to have not been fixed for heat number 1, but he had a very strong weekend at club level last weekend, the first weekend that he'd raced the Mighty Bambino. So I would expect to see him go from strength to strength throughout the rest of this race meet.
So he may be on a novice place, but that's a novice licence, isn't it?
Yes, correct.
It's not necessarily indicative of his race experience.
Because you can race outside of Motorsport UK, which this race meeting is sanctioned by. Drivers that you'll see on the black background with the white number are denoted as a novice at Motorsport UK level, but could well have quite a lot of racing experience, as you'll see. Honda, Joe, which you've got a grid. We've got some of what we would say novices now, inside the top 10.
You're familiar with this because your young lad Josh is a competitor in this Honda Cadet 200 class. It's Ronnie Smart on the pole position by 600ths of a second. Yes, 600ths of a second. That's what separated Ronnie Smart from Elliot Burke. They'll start side by side. Another standing start for you, by the way. Second was Archie Loveridge and Sheldon Streakanton. Jack Wykes and Noah Clare on row 3. Row 4 is Dexter Petty and Ricky Jr. McIntosh. And then on row 5, Riley Blakemore, Ashton Horsepool. Row 6, Noah Clark and Archie Cannon. We've then got Tom Nichols and Mason Becker on row 7. Row 8 is Edward Rye and Jane Prakash. Jaden Patel Scott is on row 9 with Dino Rowlands. And then on row 10, Ethan Pearson and Jerry Dufficy, and it's Reggie Dufficy rounding off what is a very healthy 21 kart Honda field.
Yeah, the top 4 split by a tenth, the top 16 by less than a second in our Honda Cadet qualifying. It was Ronnie Smart who on the final lap of qualifying jumped from second onto pole. He was second with exactly the same time as Archie Loveridge, and was second by virtue that he'd set that time earlier than what Loveridge had, but then put a lap in right at the end to jump into pole position. Ronnie Smart, who finished in third place when this championships ran their main season here for Project One, and he will start off pole position, again representing the Project One mark. He's got Elliot Bourke alongside him, Archie Loveridge, who finished fourth in this championship last season, will go off the inside of the second row as our helpers, mechanics, make their way off the circuit.
Well, it was Ricky McIntosh who took the win in the first winter event. Luke McGall was second, and Ronnie Smart, our pole sitter, was in third place. So podium potentially looking towards that this afternoon. We've got the clear grid board being held up, the 1 minute to go board, 30-second board, I think is next. No, we're not. We're lights out and we are racing. And it's not so much, yes it is, it's Ronnie Smart who, but it's kind of like he went for second gear there and it kicked in. Through turn 1 they go.
Archie Loveridge moves from third up into second place as Elliot Bourke tried to get across and squeeze Ronnie Smart, but then by the time he got there he found Loveridge in the 73 into second place. They're being pursued by the 13 of Jack Wykes, who's moved up into fourth place on the opening lap. So trying to figure out, we had a incident further down the order. We had yellow flags out.
That is no surprise. We came through turn 1, through Brian's Bend, 3 and potentially 4 wide by the time they got to the dogleg. It's nice and tidy at the front though, as Ronnie Smart leads into the Gasworks hairpin, and as ever we've got that train of cadets. Now, we talked about playing a waiting game in Bambinos. I'm not sure that's so much in Bambinos. However, Honda Cadet, it's all about a high-speed game of chess, as I clichéd.
Over the timing line for the first time, then it's Smart from Loveridge, Elliot Bourke and Jack White. Superb opening lap from Riley Blakemore, 10th up into 5th place for Blakemore. McIntosh, Clare, Archie Cannon and Dexter Petty in front of Shaylan Shriekan, who complete your top 10.
This is going to be that Honda train going through St John's now, the left-hander. Little bit of an off-camber corner there, catches people out. This is the first of the Sennas. It's a hairpin, we call that Senna 1. And then this not quite 180-degree hairpin, a sweeping hairpin that turns to the right. And then you've got that sweeping entry into the back chicane. Out of there, the back straight isn't straight at all. It's a curve to the right. And then into the braking area here for the Gasworks, which is a downhill sweeping hairpin now. You're very, very quickly there, then into this never-ending left-hander. First apex, second apex, into the third and final apex. Keep the car to the left to maximise your turn into that right-hander, the paddock turn, rounding off. And look at that indication. What do these drivers mean when you see them pointing, David? You're more familiar with that.
What they're trying to say is, let's push on. If we go as a group of 5, we've got a really good opportunity of scoring some solid heat points here. And no pun intended, because we've got a driver called Smart leading the way, but Some of these drivers, Archie Loveridge has raced at British level. He finished 4th in this championship last year. Elliot Bourke has raced at national level. Jack Wykes has finished 8th in the British Championships. Riley Blakemore's raced at national level as well. They know how to manage a race. They work together to the final 2 laps, and then, I'll be honest with you, all hell will break loose.
Well, yes, let's work together until the final lap. So are there conversations that take place in the paddock before these drivers go racing?
I'm not sure there is. They've all raced each other at some point. They're all very respectful, and what you can see here is this train of 5 is pulling away from event 1 winner Ricky McIntosh, who was superb at Wilton Mill, but they are gapping Ricky McIntosh as a train of 5 because they're not battling, and if they go to the final 2 minutes and then squabble, they'll have so much gap that McIntosh won't get back in it. If they start squabbling now, McIntosh will be right on the back of them within a matter of corners.
And McIntosh just off the screen there in that 6th place. He'll be doing all he can to keep on terms with this train of 5 karts now. Smart, Loveridge, Bourke, Wykes and Blake bought into the chicane. And if anything, the first 2 beginning to edge away. They are, but there's only a kart gap there, and that disappears as we've got a challenge for 3rd. We said they were going to play a waiting game. I think the wait is over at half distance.
It has, but look what it's done. It's allowed the leading duo. Watch the overtake into the corner here from Jack White, down the inside of Elliot Bourke. Look how close they are to Archie Loveridge. And now look how close they are to Archie Loveridge. It's 2 or 3 kart lengths. That one overtake has fragmented the top 5, at least for the next lap or so. For me, though, this is a very, very frustrating race for Ricky McIntosh, because he'll be driving the wheels off that 44 and he just cannot get anywhere near this top 5. As long as they're working together, Ricky Mac's going to find this very difficult to close back in on the top 5.
We are getting very close to that witching hour, the 2-minute bell, when all of these drivers who have maintained their discipline and working together now start to think about improving their placing, and we've already seen that happen for 3rd now. And Jack Wykes will want to, and he's probably got his sights very much set on that black-nosed kart there of Archie Loveridge as they maintain the discipline, though, through the horseshoe now. And this is not really much of an overtaking place in a Honda, as this one fires straight into paddock turn. And you do not want to be scrappy through here, because all of that straight there is reliant upon how well you come out of that final turn. They're having a look, though.
Yeah, Jack Wykes had half a look. Archie Loveridge looked like he was going to go past Ronnie Smart, but what he was actually doing was defending Jack White behind him. He had no intention so far, I don't think, of going past Ronnie Smart. As the top 5 continue this train away. Elliot Bourke's been given a warning for contact by the look of things on the messages. Haven't quite seen a lot, but then again, it could have been from 2 or 3 laps ago, because we are on cameras here, so that will have been sent for review. So
well, it's Dan Ashton, our official here, who seems to be very much omnipresent wherever these drivers find themselves on the track. Dan Ashton's eyes, and of course David Manchester, 2 very experienced officials here who will be officiating and making decisions as to whether or not they feel that the tactics are fair or indeed illegal. So we always like to leave that sort of aspect to them, don't we?
We do. Ding, ding, ding. There's your 2-minute bell. And I would expect this Honda race to pick up business around about now as Jack White tries a nose down the inside of Archie Loveridge. Loveridge slams the door shut and then bolts it behind him as well to hold on to 2nd place.
And if anything, David, Ronnie Smart seems to have kind of taken that 2-minute bell, metaphorical bell. David and I are actually hearing bells in our head. There's the move for 2nd as Jack Wykes, he's been promising, hasn't he? And Archie Loveridge, I think Archie got helped into that oversteer slide into the 2nd centres, and now Archie Loveridge goes from 2nd to 4th here. Yeah. And we are nowhere near a last lap board, I've got to say. And there's still, and you called it, mate. You said it's about to kick off, and it certainly has.
They do. There's a timer on the overhead gantry as they go over the timing line, so they'll see how long's left in this race. I don't know if there was contact in the back of Loveridge. I think Loveridge got in the back of Jack White, and that sort of impeded his exit and then allowed Riley Blakemore, who's just picked up the pieces throughout this race. He's just waited for drivers in front of him to... he's been very patient as Blakemore in that 68 kart. Started in P10. You see him there with the white helmet, navy blue suit in the Ambition Motorsport colours in 3rd place. But between him and Jack Whites have really closed in on Ronnie Smart, and Ronnie Smart's left the door open in centre one, and Jack Whites dives down the inside, the 13 overtaking the 50, and for the first time in this race, Ronnie Smart doesn't lead.
Incredible how these drivers can wait to pounce, and their textbook stuff down the inside on the brakes, just as they went on the brakes there. The last of the late breakers, Jack Whites on the number 13. He waited and then made that move down, but it's all kicking off now. We've got 3 and 4 wide.
Oh, Blakemore!
Over and into the barrier. Who was that's gone off there?
Riley Blakemore up onto the back of Ronnie Smart.
From third place here.
And
just
Elliot,
got too crowded, didn't it?
It did, and Elliot Bourke takes advantage, 5th up into 2nd place, but Blakemore with a heavy hit into the tyre wall. That's going to see yellow flags out at post 4 as well as halfway around the horseshoe, because the tyre wall is being repaired. Lap and a half to go, but no overtaking into the corner that put Jack White into the lead this time on the previous lap. He's not going to have to defend, which Ronnie Smart didn't. I don't think Smart thought that Jack White was going to go for the overtake quite so early. Left the door open, was very inviting, and White's moved through, and now Elliot Bourke, who started on the front row, dropped down into 5th place,
Here we go.
Going for the lead.
Here we go, but no, number 13 all the way around the outside. You're able to do that there at the Gasworks because it's a very, very fast. It's a hairpin, but it's a very fast hairpin. And the number 13 there, Jack White's the leader, hung on to that lead and kind of just held the door shut for him, didn't he? Forced the door shut. Here we go, though. Last lap. It's now into turn 1 for the final time, and it's down to this lap, David, and how these drivers sort themselves out.
Yeah, smart driving from Jack White at Gasworks. Saw the move coming from Elliot Bourke, decided not to squeeze him, just took the high line all the way around the outside, but White and Bourke have moved away from Archie Loveridge. Loveridge needs these two to scrap and defend the door half open. There's contact between Elliot Bourke and Jack White. Bourke is through, White's down into 3rd place. Plenty for the on-track clerks to think about.
I have a feeling, David, that this result of this first heat for Honda Cadet 200s are going to be very, very provisional. We're going to call it as it finishes on the road, but I can assure you there is going to be intervention from the race officials here as to what that result actually ends up being. There's been a lot of action. These drivers race very closely, and as they come out of the final turn for the last time, it'll be their first checkered flag of the day. And they cross the line now. It's Elliot Bourke who finishes 1st, Archie Loveridge 2nd, Jack White's 3rd, Ronnie Smart 4th. Then we have Archie Cannon, Ricky McIntosh finished 6th, Shaylin Steekanton finished 7th, Noah Clare 8th, 9th was Ashton Horsepill, and rounding off your top 10 was Noah Clark. Yeah. Action aplenty, as ever.
Certainly was. Pace further down the field as well. Dexter Petty with the fastest lap on the final lap, as well as he
really
finishes in P11.
Tremendous.
So what we've gained from that, for me, is a couple of extra PSI in them tyres. They might come in a little bit earlier as times just dropped towards the end of the session. But as Joe said, plenty to think about. Riley Blakemore finishes in 21st place after that trip into the tyres round the horseshoe, and he's just seen him come into the holding area. Joe looks to be in a little bit of discomfort. It was a heavy hit into them tyres for Riley Blakemore halfway around the horseshoe. We do hope that he's okay, particularly when the adrenaline wears off.
Good day from Adelaide, from Gaz Bury, who's watching in from, he's been to an Australian supercar race this afternoon down there in Down Under. And hello to Zach and Toby Turner. Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, Zach and Toby. Toby, you would have enjoyed that grid there, wouldn't you?
He would have done. Toby Turner, I'm picking up his 3rd place Warden Law Championship trophy for Toby Turner.
Are you really?
So
yeah, there you go.
I'm going to stand on the podium and pretend to be Toby.
Pretend to be Toby.
They're not here today, so I'm going to pick up Toby's championship trophy for him. Gridding up, ready to go out, Joe. This is something that we do need to talk about. We've got what appears to be junior Rotax, but not all the junior Rotaxes.
No, we've got so many junior Rotax that we've had to split them into 3 groups, A, B, and C. At the moment, we have got groups A and B. I'm not sure how they've split them. I don't think it's got anything to do with performance. It's just been a random draw, I think. Interestingly, though, pole position, first in the in qualifying 2 with a 50.2, Daniel Minto. Now, Daniel, is it his first junior Rotax race or his second?
Either way, he's a driver with a lot of local knowledge, and he's put that.
He's got a lot of local knowledge
use.
on Micromax and Intermax, but yes, he's got local knowledge on a junior. But in fact, great effort from Daniel.
Yeah.
He's here with the local team, Hunter Motorsport. He's put it on pole position, and that's great news for him. Lewis Sumner, 50.30, exactly 1/10 of a second slower. He's alongside. Third row of the grid is Charlie Wolfett and Alex Goodson. Alex with the Origin Motorsport team. He's in third, and this is definitely Alex's first ever junior Rotax race. So he'll start that on the second row. Third row is Finley Buck and Harry Freeman. Fourth row is Milo Manderson and Jensen Pritchard. Then we've got Ryan Gandor and Hasnan Khan. Hasnan, another driver. First time he sat in a junior Rotax was this morning in practice and qualifying. And Hasnan inside the top 10. Just outside the top 10 for this one, Daniel Hartley and Jensen Chalk. Daniel, of course, our junior Primo champion. Owen Wallace and Lloyd Palmer on row 7. Alfie McBain and Scott McDowell on row 8. Then we've got Jack Robinson, Oliver Fabricus, Amy Peacock, Maya Simpson, Oliver Liversedge, Elliot Surtees and Bella McConville, Lewis Holt, Daniel Callahan, Finley Smith, Andrew Dixon, Kieran Stewart and Harris Ali, Matt Scott, JJ Plowman, and Emma Leckie and Braden Donoghue. Now, JJ Plowman, he's another driver, his first race, I think, or first race weekend into junior Rotax.
He's had a couple of goes in one, but I think this is his first sort of race at national level. We're rolling round. We've had a false start, so we're going to roll round, which will give us an opportunity to talk about a few drivers and qualifying, for example. So what I was going to say is pole position overall is leading is Group A. Second place was Group B. Third place is Group C. And then fourth, fifth, sixth are A, B, C, and so on. So that's how your groups have been split. Later on, we'll have B versus C and C versus A.
Yeah.
One thing for me to watch here is a few other drivers for the first time. Jensen Chalk represented the Team UK at the Rotax Grand Finals over at Sarno last month. Finished 11th in Inter 950. He is up into juniors as well, so a driver with a lot of pedigree going off the outside of row number 6.
Yeah, good point. There's quite a few debutants, and it's a good point you made there at national level, because a lot of these drivers have gone off and done club events in the last couple of months when they've become old enough to then go and make that transition into the older class junior Rotax. This is for a class that's open to 12 to 16-year-olds. Junior Primo is a little bit more stifled for more of Junior Primo. This is all about Junior Rotax right now, and we get racing going underway there. And Minto, familiar sight for Daniel Minto to lead, but he goes wide, and he's down to what looks like 5th place already. And I think we've got a couple of stragglers there, but the leader is the number 295, and that's Charlie Wolfett, who's just made a massive advantage there of all that kerfuffle that went on at turn 1.
Yeah, Charlie Wolfett whips the shoehorn out at the first corner and goes down the inside. Hasnan Khan was a driver that was off at the first corner, Joe, so you spoke about him fondly. The commentators cursed striking early.
That's his first junior start.
Yeah, it's difficult. Well, we're going to see it particularly in Intermax later on. Some of our drivers that have moved up from Hondas will be doing their first ever rolling start, or at least their first rolling start in a while, so it's going to be very difficult for them just to get to grips as they head up towards the timing line for the first time. It will be Charlie Wolfett leading us through from Finley Buck and Harry Freeman. Daniel Minto down into 4th off pole position. Lloyd Palmer, Alex Goodson, Milo Manderson, who went well at Wilton Mill, Jensen Pritchard, Lewis Sumner and Ryan Gandar.
Leader Charlie Wolfett kind of commanding that lead there. Looks over his left shoulder. There's no one quite there yet. Finley Buck and Harry Freeman coming together on track there. Finley Buck with the, looks like that's an Ultimate R livery. And he is trying to pull in Charlie Wolfett. Still plenty of time, 6.5 minutes. The heats are 8 minutes and 1 lap. I'm sure you've gathered that with the timing bar on the right-hand side of the screen. But second and third there. And if anything, Harry Freeman playing a bit of a waiting game. I think he's not going to make any kind of inroads. But, however, here they come behind him. Daniel Minto, Lloyd Palmer, Alex Goodson, former teammates, these three. And Milo Anderson and Jensen Pritchard with Lewis Sumner and Ryan Gander not that far behind. But those 3 carts there, David, are very soon going to be joined by those 4, I think. Yeah,
they're going to be reeled in. Daniel Minto, the lead of the second train, would now have his head down, the bit between his teeth and the fire in his eyes after the first corner to reel back in this top three. Just off the back of that, I just want to keep an eye out. I'll keep an eye out on timing. Maya Simpson's had a solid opening 2 laps and will be looking to try and make an inroad after what she will feel will be a disappointing qualifying for her. She's already up to P12, having qualified outside the top 15. Well, she started 20th and she's now up to 12th, so it's a solid opening few laps for Simpson.
That is a good start. Here we go though, as we thought. The leading 3 karts now becoming the leading 4 karts. They're not that far away. Minto putting a little bit of a gap to his Hunter Motorsport teammate Lloyd Palmer, and then behind Palmer is the Origin Motorsport of Alex Goodson. But I think these 3 at the front there, Finley Buck in second, Harry Freeman on the black and blue kart there. If anything, Harry Freeman gives me the kind of feeling that he's just waiting for a moment there. He's maybe being stifled a little bit. I don't know.
No, suddenly I get the feeling that he feels that Buck's probably got enough pace at this moment in time not to lose sight of Charlie Wolfett. And I think Lloyd Palmer, Alex Goodson, Milo Manderson in 7th place off the back of the train, who was on the podium at Wilton Mill in 3rd. They're going to be pleased to see that it's Daniel Minto, because I think if Minto can draw up onto the back of Harry Freeman, I don't think Minto's the type of driver to be patient.
No, he wasn't a patient driver in Micromax. He wasn't a patient driver in Intermax. He was very decisive in how he made his moves.
That commentator's curse, Joe, that I told you about earlier on, has struck again, because me saying that Maya Simpson was charging through the field, she's just come into the pit lane in front of us to retire from heat number 1.
Maybe we should just stop talking about people and just talk about colours.
Either that, or we could turn this into a money-making operation. If you would like to stifle your nearest rival, you can bring £20 to the commentary box and we'll talk about them fondly.
Yeah, and then they're sure to have a rubbish race after we've talked about them inspiringly. Minto on a charge. He started on the pole position. He slid very wide cold tyres. Remember, those cold tyres have disappeared now. Tyres very much up to temperature and operating pressure. And now we see, with 3.5 minutes gone, we're into the second half of this first heat. And just keep an eye on that 4th place kart there. He'll not like that. He wanted to start from pole. He wanted to lead the race. However, he found himself sliding wide, but now he's back on terms, David.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason that you can't see the other 3 karts behind is because Goodson and Palmer battled so much on the previous lap that they've allowed Milo Manderson up from 7th into 5th, which is why we spoke about a train of 7 and you can only see 4 karts in this lead battle. They've stifled their own race by arguing that it's now going to be 4 karts for the top 3 places here in this A versus B Junior Rotax opening heat of the day. 2:50 on the clock. Charlie Wolfett leading from Finley Buck, Harry Freeman and Daniel Minto. And unlike Junior Rotax races, Joe, this has had a feel of it being rather processional at the front. And again, I think we're going to see that 2-minute bell.
I think the reasons, though, are very different to what we've seen previously in cadets. This is flat out. These drivers are flat out. There's no management going on here. They are driving these karts around this Warden Law track as fast as they possibly can. And now you see how Minto has closed the gap. That just shows how quick these top 3 are for Minto, who started on the pole. We know how quick he is on a lap, on a qualifying lap. However, he's got onto the rear end of Harry Freeman, but he's never looked like he's in a position to have a go anywhere. Now he's going to prove me wrong, of course. As a move for the first place down the inside has gone Finley Buck. What a move that was. That's very brave there.
Very brave, very late as well. He's really took Charlie Wolfett by surprise and slots out of the slipstream. And Finley Buck, who's drawn up onto the back of Charlie Wolfett, who had a gap of a few kart lengths earlier on. Wolfett, though, as he come back, he's back down the inside into Senna 1. And the record book will state that Finley Buck never led this race, but we can attest that he definitely did. Behind them, though, Dan Minto has found a way through on Harry Freeman. Buck is back down the inside of Charlie Wolfett, another driver who represented the UK a few weekends back in Sarno. He's still wearing his Team UK suit, but at the minute he's looking at the back of Finley Buck.
And that recovery drive from Minto, starting from pole and dropping down the order he's made ground. He's up to 3rd and he's looking very ominous. If these karts had mirrors, he'd be looking very ominous in the mirrors of Charlie Wolfett. However, There's only Daniel Minto knows when he's going to make that move, and he's lining it up. But what he wants is these two to go at it and maybe even start stifling one another, and that's very, very likely to happen. We're inside of almost in towards whether they're going to get the last lap board. I don't know whether they're going to see that or not. We're going to be right on the cusp. There's a move down the inside for the lead, though.
Wolfit back down the inside of Finley Buck. Daniel Minto trying to take advantage, but ends up being hung out to dry on the outside. He slots back into third place, but will look to get a better run out of this final corner as they run up towards turn number 1. 18 on the clock, 2 laps to go.
Plenty of
Buck
time.
not close enough this time to attack back at Charlie Wolfit, but I don't think he was ever going to, having been overtaken at Gasworks. You're never going to get that drive then towards that first corner.
I think Daniel Minto was glad to see still 20 seconds on the boards, giving another 2 laps. Wolfit and Buck, maybe, they were thinking, oh, you know what, I've got to hold on for another 2 laps as they come together for second and third there. And Daniel Minto just looking like and that was about momentum, wasn't it? He didn't want to stifle that momentum, but he has, with that very, very slight contact. I don't think that disadvantaged anyone there.
No, had to sort of make that move for fear of running into the side and back of Finley Buck, but it did hamper his sort of overall momentum. Charlie Wolfit will lead us over the line as they are indicated that it's the last lap. He's had a quick look over his shoulder because if Buck was right behind him, he now has that opportunity to defend position, which he hasn't done for the first couple of corners. Buck not close enough, but I get the feeling as they head up towards Senna 1, it will be a much more defensive line, I think, from Charlie Wolfit.
Let's see, he doesn't have to defend.
No.
He's got plenty of space to just take the optimum line through first the left-hand centre, now the right-hand centre, heading towards the chicane now. These top 4 beginning to get spaced out and just not enough space. It's going to be a real do-or-die effort if anyone's going to have a challenge, and that's come, and he's taken them out, and Minto has gone through. He was hoping that would happen. Well, it's happened, and Daniel Minto will show in the results page that he started from pole and will take the checkered flag as he comes out and says, thank you very much, I'll have me pole position and that win back. 3 wide, 4 wide down there in 6th, 7th and 8th. And I'll just catch my breath and then give you a rundown of the top 10. But dramatic finish there, David.
It was. Finley Buck, as you said, do-or-die move. He's come from about a day and a half back to dive down the inside of Charlie Wolfit. And Daniel Minto, if he could have took his hands off the wheel, he'd have rubbed them together as he slides through from third place to win the opening junior Rotax race here at Warden Law.
Here's your top 10. Daniel Minto taking that win, then Harry Freeman inheriting the second place right behind him. Charlie Wolfit was third. Milo Manderson up to fourth. Finley Buck ended up in fifth after all. Jensen Pritchard, Lewis Sumner, Alex Goodson. Ninth was Lloyd Palmer. Then rounding off the top 10 was Ryan Chandor. Just outside the top 10, Oliver Fabricas, Jack Robinson, Daniel Hartley, Alfie McBain up into 14th. Owen Wallace. Jensen Chalk finds himself 16th. And then Andrew Dixon is in 17th. The rest of the finishers are there as we are already getting ready to get running with that. Because it's a winter series, we need to get through the programme very, very quickly and very readily. And we are already... Micromax on the grid?
Yes,
I think they are.
It is Micromax. They're gridded up, ready to go. We've got 12 runners in Micro, and it's your Scottish champion, the S-plate of Lewis Kirkcaldy, who's going to lead us out of the holding area. He's joined on the front row by Alfie Garrett, who missed the round at Wilton Mill but returns to Warden Law and returns on the front row. Harris Barber and Ethan Lloyd are on row number 2. Freddie Blackshaw and Carter Jackson on row number 3. 7th is Zach Andrew. He's got Sebastian Crawford for company. The top 10 completed by Hamish Gordon and the Bambino champion from last year, Noah Wicklow. The grid of 12 completed then by Max Armitt and Freddie Walker, who moves up from Bambino into Micro Max, so it's one of his first race weekends in the cadet ranks for Freddie Walker. We'll see how his progression goes throughout this weekend, but certainly towards the front, Joe, it's there's a lot of drivers with a lot of experience there.
Yeah, I'm expecting Lewis Kirkcaldy to be certainly one of the strongest Micromax drivers here this weekend. He's carrying the S-plate to denote the Scottish champion. We saw a dramatic start to the first of our junior Rotax races. Sumner Speed, who is just messaged in on the YouTube chat. Turn 1 hip check. Yes, it certainly was a turn 1 hip check for Junior Rotax. If you do want to message in, then send us any kind of questions that we may or may not be able to find the answers to. Tell us who you're supporting, tell us who you're watching, and we'll give you a shout out and a mention if you, wherever you are in the world, watching our coverage here on Karting Live TV. It's the Kart Championship Winter Series event, the second of our Winter Series events, and we are incorporating the Warden Law Kart Club Autumn Cup, which I'll fill you in on the details of what that is about as we get towards the sort of the latter stages of the afternoon, I think, when things for the Autumn Cup start to come into play. We've got the karts being released, all 12 of the Micromax karts. We've got a lot of privateers in this class. Freddie Walker's with TW Racing. Alfie Garrett is with RCE. If you are with a team or if you are with a privateer, don't forget to put that detail on your entries when you post your entries on the Alpha website. When you are putting your entry in, let us know what team you're with. It certainly adds a little bit of depth for you and I, doesn't it, David? And we're not just having an inter-driver rivalry; we've got inter-team rivalries to talk about.
We do, and some inter-team rivalry. We see them working together. Sometimes we see them squabbling from lap one. Sometimes, which
get them squabbling in the same team.
Yeah, exactly. It makes for
no team orders in karting.
I know it's a winter series, but sometimes it can make for a very frosty atmosphere at times, can't it? When there's teams in the.
He's here all week.
It's all right. Somebody wheel the big drum and cymbal in.
He's here all week. Here they come then, out of paddock turn, and will they get the go ahead? They are racing. We get a green flag, or a green light, I should say, or a red light going out, I should say, and into turn 1. It's not the S-plate at all. Lewis Kirkcaldy absolutely being hung out to dry at that start, David, and finds himself in third and sliding wide at the dogleg as well.
Alfie Garrett and Ethan Lloyd taking advantage on the opening lap. The outside train, second and fourth, currently running 1 and 2 at the moment as Kirkcaldy comes back down the inside of Harris Barber for third place. But it's got some work to do after a qualifying session that put him on pole position by 0.3 of a second. He's going to need all of them 0.3 a lap to close in Alfie Garrett and Ethan Lloyd at the start of this race.
Both RCE drivers, I see, in the form of Alfie Garrett and Ethan Lloyd, both on the orange and black liveried karts of RCE. And in third place, we'll just confirm who is where as they come across the line to complete one lap. Then 12 karts in the field. Garrett, Ethan Lloyd, Lewis Kirkcaldy, Harris Barber, Freddie Blackshaw, Carter Jackson, Sebastian Crawford, Noah Wicklow, Hamish Gordon, Freddie Walker, Max Armit, Zach Andrew. That's your top 12.
Yeah, put a tough opening lap for Zach Andrew. He drops 5 places down into P12, unfortunately for him. But from where he started in P number 7, the top 2 at the moment, they're going to need to push, because now Lewis Kirkcaldy has jumped back past Harris Barber. He's got some clear track in front of him, but more importantly, doesn't have to defend the driver behind him. He's already pulled away from Barber and will now be looking to reel in these two, which this is what we're talking about, Joe. It's whether they've had the stern chat beforehand of let's work together to start with and see what happens.
Do stern chats ever work, David? I mean,
what, with racing drivers or children? Neither.
Neither, yes, because you can have a stern chat in the. Yeah. I know what you're going to say. I'm
what I'm picking up is off the back. That's the breather bottle that comes off the top. You see it on the leader there. There's a pipe going up off the top of the engine, and it clicks to the side.
And that's
Ethan
loose,
Lloyd's is flapping round off the side. So whether that's a tie wrap or a clip that's come off,
that's not going to affect the performance of the engine at all.
Will not.
That's not. What it might do is they might have attracted the attention of the stewards, but again, we'll leave them up to them. I mean, that's quite secure. It's just flapping around.
Yeah, it's basically it's a pipe that goes off, so there's no chance of that coming off the cart unless it gets tagged on the rear wheel.
It's the coolant system expansion bottle, isn't it?
So you'll see that as the leader comes down the start straight in a few moments, and we pick the camera up at the far end, you'll see he's got a pipe going up, and effectively looks like it's going up and over, and it's clipped on. You can see it there on the left side. Ethan Lloyd in second place doesn't have that because it's flapping round behind him. So as Joe says, no performance gain or taken away, unless he gets picked up for anything in terms of mechanical. But at the moment, Joe, these two
working well, aren't they?
Working well, because they are gapping Lewis Kirkcaldy 2/10, a quarter of a second quicker on the previous lap.
This is a cadet class, isn't it? This is a Rotax engine cadet class. This is the first step into Rotax karting. Performance-wise, lap time-wise, they're very, very similar to the Honda Cadet. So if you are coming into karting with your child, then it's a choice. Do you go down the Honda route? Do you go down the Rotax route? You're familiar with Hondas, David, but this Rotax engine, it's fundamentally the same engine that we see from Micromax through into Max, Junior and Senior. It's the same 125cc engine. It's heavily stifled by restricting the airflow into the engine to bring the power down so that these youngsters can actually manage these karts. Just stifles the power, stifles the performance, stifles the lap time. They're on a narrower chassis, narrower tyres, so they have less grip.
Yeah.
But the Rotax message is, fundamentally, the concept is you can take this engine and keep this engine all the way until you turn 16.
Yeah, the block is exactly the same. You see, the radiator's considerably smaller, so the engine will be getting less air in. It won't be revving as high. The gearing is fixed as Alfie Garrett launches over that back curb. And see, that's the thing here at Warden. In order to be quick, you have to hit that curb on the outside. There's no ifs or buts or maybes. You drive round it and you're going to be slow. And it's the same as the exit curb at the dogleg. If you drive round it, you're slow, but you have to hit it. You have to launch it.
You absolutely do. And you saw Garrett there. His kart was kind of launched off the curb, and he was probably about, 6 inches off where you should hit the curb. And 6 inches to the left, and you're going to hit the highest point of the curb. He just let it breathe, though, didn't he? He didn't fight it. The kart went a little bit out of control. He was just very cool, and that's what you'll see again here as he comes through the left-hand centre, then into the right-hand centre, and we'll just keep an eye to see if he cleans up his act through the chicane. And I have a feeling, David, as we are suggesting that, we're going to drop back to this battle here with Freddie Blackshaw and Harris Barber.
I was going to say with Alfie Garrett, it didn't harm him because he put in the fastest lap of the race in what was a very untidy exit to that Dunlop chicane.
Because out of the chicane, he only had 2 wheels on the ground. He was flying.
Well, to be fair, the engine was probably revving 1,000 RPM higher by the time he hit the floor, and it just launched him out. But yeah, this is a battle now between Freddie Blackshaw and Harris Barber for 4th place, 2 drivers that are very local to this circuit here in the northeast of England. And Freddie Blackshaw in the yellow machine, the number 28, in front of Harris Barber in the Tony Kart colours.
And Freddie Blackshaw ran by his dad, Will. They're with ST Racing. I think ST support them in what they do. Will Blackshaw, of course, Will's very, very well known in Northeast karting here. He raced when he was a kid and raced through the senior class. There's a lot that Will Blackshaw has forgot more than I know about karting. And here, great to see Freddie. He's transitioned from Bambino. He's been racing here a couple of years in Bambinos, and here he is in Micromax, and clearly enjoying the thrill of the Micromax class.
Yeah, he's one of those drivers that it's taken him a while to sort of get to the front as Freddie Blackshaw. He was very competent in Bambino, but it's taken him a while, I think, just to get used to the micro. This is now going to be the end of his sort of first full assault at Micromax, and he's just sort of starting to grow into it now and racing with Harris Barber, who, on the other hand, came straight out of Iami Bambino and goes straight down the inside of Freddie Blackshaw, his left-hander. But he came out of Bambino and was bang straight on it. He took no transition time as he makes his way back up into 4th place.
Yeah, up into 4th. Let's see if Freddie Blackshaw can respond to that. They are towards 30 seconds. They'll get another couple of laps out of this one. I think the leader's already into the horseshoe, as into the Gasworks hairpin. Harris Barber on the Tony kart hangs that kart, just using all of the track there. And Freddie Blackshaw, if he is going to have to get past him, he's going to have to drive around the outside, I think, as Harris Barber maximises his exit onto the start-finish straight. Blackshaw looking down the inside into turn 1. Is he going to make it happen? No, because it's very fast. Hardly any difference in speed on the straight to through the corner there.
2 bites of the cherry there for Blackshaw, and I don't think either of them did any favours. He came out of the slipstream early, went back in, having been hit by that wall of air, and then decided to have another go. If he'd have waited and just done the second move, I think he's through there down the inside, is Freddie Blackshaw, because he'd have had a bit more at the end of the straight. Just needs a little bit more composure and a little bit more ruthlessness there, does Blackshaw. He's just got to be confident that he's going to do it, stick the move down the inside. But he's basically had two thoughts about that, and unfortunately neither have worked out for him.
It looked like the momentum kicked in, and if he had stayed behind him, he probably would have ended up contacting the rear bumper. So it's, in fairness to Freddie, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Especially there, because there's very little speed difference.
Well, let's see what he does this time.
Last lap board as well.
We'll keep an eye on it, because the last lap has commenced, and we'll go back to the leading duo of Garrett and Ethan Lloyd. And as you said there, I've just looked out the window, and he's done exactly what you said. He stayed behind him rather than ducking out right at the end, and he has run straight into the back of Harris Barber. So halfway between what you said he was going to do and what I said he should have done will be absolutely bang on for Freddie Blackshaw.
That's why we're here in this commentary box, David, and not doing the hard bit out there on the track. The hard bit is being completed by Alfie Garrett, who's keeping his teammate, his RCE teammate behind him, Ethan Lloyd, on the 66, following Alfie Garrett round. Certainly these two have been in each other's wheel tracks pretty much from the very outset. Into the gasworks for the final time. They'll be getting through the dogleg now, not the dogleg, the horseshoe, which is this never-ending left-hander here, and then firing into the final turn there. It's going to be checkered flag for these two, David.
Alfie Garrett leads us out of the final corner, takes the checkered flag, and victory in the opening heat for Micromax from Ethan Lloyd, who closed back in on his teammate towards the end of that race. Lewis Kirkcaldy, who went off pole position, finishes in P3. Harris Barber and Freddie Blackshaw, their race-long battle, finishes with the 12 in front of the 28. Hamish Gordon moves up from the final row of the from 9th place on the grid to finish in P6 in front of Sebastian Crawford, Noah Wicklow and Carter Jackson, Max Armitt, Freddie Walker and Zach Andrew.
It is staying with the Rotax classes. This one's the Intermax class. How do I start explaining where Intermax fits in? So Intermax is the step up from the karts we've just seen. Micromax, little bit less air restriction, so a little bit more power coming from the motor. They're pretty much on exactly the same chassis and tyres, so grip levels are the same as a Micromax, but you've got more power. So you're going into the corners a little bit quicker. So the karts will slide around a bit, and it will give the drivers a little bit more of a feel for a faster kart before they become old enough to get into Junior Primo.
Exactly. Chassis is exactly the same. Tyres, even the radiator size is exactly the same. There's just less restriction to them. The drivers are a little bit older, so they'll have a little bit more experience. And certainly experience and local track knowledge was the name of the game in qualifying, Joe. As Max Jolly for Hunter Motorsport, the team based right outside our window, or at least they will be in a few months' time when that building gets finished. They're currently down at the other end of this complex here at Karting North East Warden Law, but they'll be moving into this fantastic building on the outside of the first corner.
Max Jolly, David, you mentioned Max Jolly. Max Jolly has he's had a lot of success here. He's had a lot of success as well on the national level with the British Championships, UKC. He's been a front runner. He's always in the top 5. I'm not going to hex him by saying he's going to be the car to beat. We said that the last time, and the Kirkcaldy it was on the S plate, where ended up coming third from the first turn. So we'll.
Before you start, Joe, I just want to point out here, not even a tenth. That's half a tenth between the top 3.
Amazing, isn't
in quality.
It?
That's
brilliant.
Unreal.
Let's have a look at it. Max Jolly, 53.16. Leo Livings, he's on the LCR kart, the number 165 alongside, 53.19. Ryan White, who you'll see we have a chat to in our paddock show at the lunchtime. Ryan White, transitioning from Honda Cadets. A very successful period of time for Honda Cadets. British champion in the Honda Cadets. We talked to Ryan about the transition into the faster Intermax class. Ryan on a 53.21. Oliver Barton, 53.42s alongside in 4th. Then we've got Oscar Roach on a 53.51. 53.52, Jackson Hilton. 53.68 is Soren Gallagher. Then we've got Thomas Jackson on a 53.76. Now he's carrying the A plate.
Yes, I will let you know what that is when you finish your grip.
Okay. Fifth row of the grid, Lewis Stewart and Logan Stanley Jones. Sixth row, Blair Smith and Hugo McCluskey. With on row 7, Ella Dixon and Eli Rideout. And then rounding off a 16 cart field, Hakeem Batt and Adam Batt.
So, the A plate, which is being run by Thomas Jackson, it's a plate that he's won twice. Once in Honda, before he moved up and was unable to run it, and has won it in Intermax as well. It is the Association of Scottish Kart Club Champion. Now, we've got S plate for Scottish Champion. That's a one-off event that's held at Lark Hall, and the winner gets the S plate. The A plate, the Association of Scottish Kart Club Champions, is an event that's held over 4 different tracks, and is basically the champion across those 4 tracks, points accumulated, and Thomas Jackson will run the A plate, and he goes off the number 8.
Excellent stuff. We've released the carts out there now. Hello to Charlotte Goodson at University in Reading. Huge good luck and well done to Alex Goodson Racing in his first junior Rotax race this weekend. Qualified third, Charlotte, and then you saw how well he did in his first race in junior. So hello to Charlotte. Get back to the studying, mate, and turn the TV off. Hello, no, she can have a bit of respite and watch her brother race this weekend, can't she?
And tune in tomorrow morning as well, because we'll be back here for pre-finals, a repechage for the first time in a while, effectively a B final in junior Rotax, and our finals as well from Warden Law. So stay with us. Give us a subscribe, press the bell notification as well, because that way you'll get a notification when we go live tomorrow morning. You won't miss any of the action here from Karting Northeast.
Like an alarm bell, sort of.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, subscribe. Give us a there's a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up. We like thumbs ups.
Here we go then. The Intermax class are coming out the final turn. We've got a few stragglers, so I suspect they may get another turn around, or have we set them off? I think we have. And it's Max Jolly who goes into turn 1. We've got a false start. Yeah, false start. Good spot, Dylan.
Yeah, you were right. There was I
got excited.
The field did fragment towards the back as we've got a driver off with a spin on the first couple of corners. We'll clock a number when they come round. They should be able to retake their position, hopefully.
Cards have been shown, though. Did you see Ryan White move onto the tail end of Max Jolly there?
Yes.
Cards have been shown there on that full start because the drivers went off at the full start. They may not have even seen the lights go out. They're focusing on that first turn. The first time they see the full start light is through turn 1 and Marshall's Post 6.
Yeah.
And that's through Brian's Bend. That's when they realise, we're not racing at all. We have to back off.
Yep, so they'll slow in. Ryan White, who won the Motorsport UK British Kart Championship in Honda in 2023, was the Honda Cadet champion in the Kart Championship here in Honda Cadet in 2024. He's moved into Intermax. He goes off the inside of the second row. Here we go then into the tram lines once again, and this time we are racing.
Start. That's a great start, and into turn 1, snapped across and slammed the door in Max Jolly's face. Ryan White trying to go around the outside of Max Jolly. And who's that? Is that the Ambition?
It's Leo
Synergy?
Livings.
Leo Livings? Who's he with? Is that a Synergy card or an Ambition card?
Synergy normally for Leo Livings, but I think he's with a... is he running with LLC or a team this weekend? But Leo Livings with a great start as Max Jolly then was defending. Ryan White was already sort of third on the inside train. So he'd already fallen behind because Leo Livings had come across on the inside and closed the door. Good opening, good start by Oliver Barton, but he's then now fallen back slightly. And that looks like that Oscar Roach in 4th place. I think it could be now. Clock it when they come over the timing line.
Livings, a driver that's come through Honda Cadet as well, I believe.
No, he was Micromax, was Leo Livings.
Was he? Right, that's where I'm getting mixed up. That was a cracking start from Livings there on the bright yellow and blue cart. And there's that cart there of Max Jolly. He's with Thunder Motorsport here, the local team, and with Ryan White right with him through the dogleg, using all of that curb as we've discussed on the exit of the dogleg. Now then, the tyres will just beginning to come on now into lap 2 here. They'll not be quite where they want them to be. That happens about sort of 2.5 laps in. So the driver's still struggling with perhaps the cart's not turning in like they want, perhaps being aware of the rear end just giving up a little bit more and sliding towards the exit of the corners. But this is where the tyres begin to come in, and I think pretty much this is where we see Max Jolly and Ryan White going with him and just moving and edging onto that rear bumper of Leo Livings as they come out of the final turn It'll be 2 laps completed this time. And there they are. Look at that. They're coming together there. The gap now just under 0.4 of a second there between first and second. And very soon, David, we're not going to need that stopwatch at all.
We won't. At the moment, Ryan White content to push Max Jolly along. I think he knows that Jolly is more than quick enough to keep pace with Leo Livings, the final winner from the first event of the Kart Championship Winter Series at Wilton Mill, his home circuit for Leo Livings. Now he's at the home of Max Jolly, who's down into second place, but set the fastest lap of the race on the previous lap. It was only a fraction quicker, though, than the leader. It's going to be a few laps, I think, Joe, before he can really challenge Leo Livings. Livings has just got to get his head down, really, now.
Yeah, I think actually it's a big ask, isn't it? Leo Livings absolutely on a charge. However, fastest Kart last time by, Max Jolly, same time this one as well. Another fastest lap. The gap's gone down by, would you believe, only 1/100th of a second. That's all that's in it.
Identical times between Max Jolly and Ryan White as well.
Brilliant.
53.38 to 53.39 for Livings. These 3 drivers are as evenly matched. If you could clone drivers, that is pretty much what you'd be doing with these 3.
The data on that lap there would have been absolutely identical, I think, from these 3 drivers. And now they are together.
Yeah.
Now they are picking up the airflow from one another. And now we'll see perhaps a game of patience coming into play, will it? Or will Max Jolly just want to get on to that rear bumper of Leo Livings and make that decisive move? Because I think Max Jolly was sat there at the start, David, thinking, the cheeky beggar, he's just come across on me and slammed the door in my face. And you know what? That's what the rules allow. Yeah. And it was a great start from Livings. But now he's got his attention is behind him because Max Jolly is coming.
Max Jolly is so quick round Paddock Bend, the final corner. He's took 2 or 3 kart lengths out of Leo Livings. Don't think he's going to be close enough up to Senna 1. No, he's not. But Livings turns in a kart length earlier, maybe just in order to ward off Max Jolly making the move down the inside there. But that's going to hamper his exit. And again, I think Jolly's going to be super strong through this second into the third sector of the track up towards the Gasworks hairpin. Expect him to be quick out of Paddock Bend. I think there could be a move coming into the first corner here. That's my prediction.
Okay, David, let's see if Max Jolly's listening. Out onto the straight then, into the slipstream, and just look at the airflow, sucking that nose cone up of Max Jolly. And there, called it very well indeed to David Sullivan. He saw that coming, and now we've got the pole man back into the lead of this race. Just look at the way the fairing there, the nose cone starts bouncing, and that was down to the airflow, just sucking that and pushing that, just sucking the nose cone up, if anything, and reducing the drag on that kart. Cracking indication of the aerodynamics actually working on these karts.
Yeah, superb move from Max Jolly. It turns out that it wasn't a prediction, it was a spoiler. As Max Jolly comes out of the slipstream, through down the inside of Leo Livings. But now these two, I think we're going to have a lap or 2 of pushing away here. Now, I think Leo Livings could be boxing quite smart. We'll see how he goes as he does indeed pick up a warning. Oh, it's not. It's a jump start for Leo Livings.
Ah, right. That explains it. Jump start for Leo Livings. He's got a +5. So if anything, Jolly can just let Livings go by and just stay on his tail, and he will take the heat wins. So Leo Livings there, we saw him go ahead of Max Jolly and slam the door. That's because it's been deemed that he jumped the start. So a 5-second penalty for that second place Synergy kart there, out at the back chicane. It's Hunter Motorsports, Max Jolly from Synergy's Leo Livings, Ryan White for Project One, just not being able to hang on to the tail of these two, has he?
No, but he's going to inherit second place. Leo Livings, as it stands, will drop to 8th. What he's got to do now is somehow tell Max Jolly, I'm not going to overtake you. Let's just go forward, I'll push you, and maybe I can recover to 6th or 5th or 4th. As long as you don't defend me and back me up, because I can't win anyway.
Yeah, whether or not Leo Livings is aware of that, he's been shown that penalty across the start-finish line, but that's if the driver has the wherewithal to be looking at the information board. It's not always as easy to do that. He's probably got his sights glued to that name Jolly on the back of the overalls of Max Jolly there. as Jolly through the chicane there. He will be happier, I think. Max likes to lead. He can look over his shoulder and see that Livings is still there. So that'll still keep him earnest. That'll still keep him focused and motivated to not lose concentration going into the final stages of this. 50 seconds or so on the board as we go through. And that was 51 seconds. So it will be the last lap, but by literally 2 seconds next time by.
So 2 laps to go. Leo Livings in his watch. I think now he could be having a look at this, Joe. I think he could be 5th. So he's pushing away in terms of from the drivers in sort of 6th, 7th and 8th. So he's minimising the damage of that 5-second penalty at the moment by just pushing Max Jolly around. It's doing Jolly a huge favour as well, because they've dropped Ryan White in 3rd place. He's a second or so off the back of this in what is now a very lonely race for the 147 of Ryan White, because behind him Oliver Barton and Oscar Roach are squabbling over P4.
Yeah, I'm not whether or not Leo Livings will have a go to get by him for the checkered flag and just sort of minimise that 5-second penalty. We'll wait and see as the last lap board goes out now to Max Jolly, who defends from Livings, and then Jolly takes that optimum line. Leo Livings still on the rear bumper. Behind these two, Ryan White in 3rd, Oliver Barton in 4th, Oscar Roach 5th, Soren Gallagher 6th, Blair Smith 7th, Lewis Stewart, Thomas Jackson and Jackson Hilton in the top 10 there, just rounding off the top 10 there.
Max Jolly defending a position that if he finishes 2nd, he's still going to win anyway. But similarly, as you say, Joe, they don't necessarily look at that overhead gantry in the middle of the race. They just get their head down, tunnel vision, Kart in front, let's go. And Max Jolly's defending this. Down the inside goes Leo Livings. Livings, on track at least, takes the lead from Max Jolly. It will all be in vain, as they'll find out post-race. He's going to take the victory on track, is Leo Livings, from Max Jolly. Jolly will take the victory overall, though a 5-second penalty already applied for a jump start for Leo Livings. But what that has done is it means Leo Livings will drop down to P5 because he's opened up enough of a gap to Surrey and Gallagher.
This was great racing, though. This was great racing. Defensive line by Max Jolly, went in a bit hard. Leo Livings sort of geared himself up for that very eventuality, and it paid off for him. And on the road, yes, he took the win, but he has been deemed to have a jump start, so he will be down the order. So on the road, Leo Livings, Max Jolly, Ryan White, Oliver Barton, Oscar Roach, Soren Gallagher, Blair Smith, Lewis Stewart in 8th, 9th is Thomas Jackson, Jackson Hilton is in 10th, and then 11th, Logan Stanley Jones, Ella Dixon, Eli Rideout, Hugo McCluskey, Hakeem Batt and Adam Batt round off what's a 16 Kart into Max Field.
We've got Junior Rotax out again. This time, though, it's Junior Rotax Primo will be taking us out. It's a class for slightly newer drivers in the junior ranks. Nick is passing a message to Joe. I will run you through the grid then for our Junior Primo qualifying session. Joseph Mills, a local driver who we saw and ran very, very well at Wilton Mill, is with a new team this weekend. He was with True Performance Motorsport. He's now with Origin this weekend. He's joined on the front row by Thomas Harper, who also ran well at Wilton Mill. Alfie Forrester and Zach Kane are on row 2. Alex Forsyth and Cooper Campbell-Lees on row number 3 from Tyler Davis and Lewis Gilbert. Thomas Butcher starts 9th, Ronnie Legg alongside with Jensen Cook and Jack Moss 11th and 12th respectively. Elijah Hartley starts 13th, Cameron McNeil alongside George Johnston and Stephen Jones in front of Dominic Darling, JJ Plowman and Matthew Clark.
So as ever, Junior Primo, this is for the 12 and 13-year-old Junior Rotax drivers. They're exactly the same kart in every way, shape and form as a Junior Rotax. However, this is just an age category.
Yeah.
And the Kart Championship, this was the first time I'd come across Junior Primo, and I thought, what a great idea. Drivers less experienced coming through the ranks, maybe even just starting in Junior Rotax if you start karting when you're 12 years of age. The Junior Primo is an ideal. You've got kids in Junior Rotax who are racing at a very, very high level. And they may have came out of Intermax or Micromax or whatever, but they've been racing in Intermax at British Championship level. That's maybe not for them, Junior Primo, but it certainly is for the midfield driver, the hobby driver. I don't want to call them amateur because everybody's amateur. None of these drivers are making a living at it, are they? But you kind of get the feel for where Junior Primo is, and I think we get a lovely chat with Daniel Hartley's dad, Ian Hartley, in the paddock show, and he explains the reasoning behind putting Daniel into this class, and I think this is a great idea. I'm a real massive supporter of Junior Primo, and the being in the entertainment business, David, the racing is brilliant in Junior Primo.
It is. Well, Daniel proved the stepping stone to be perfect. He won Junior Primo last year and ran well inside the top 10 at Wilton Mill. Two things to note there. JJ Plowman, who I mentioned, he's actually in Junior Rotax. He moved up from Junior Primo when a space opened up. Matthew Clark, who starts last, keep an eye out for him. He qualified second but was removed from the standings. Not 100% sure why, but he certainly has the pace to run from the front. It's just that he's going to have to do it by coming through the field. Oh, we've got a cart stopped already on the back straight. That looks like it's the 12 of Jack Moss, and it is. So I think we're going to roll round. We are already under a false start because of that. Jack Moss's cart still being tended to by the marshals, and we're not going to rush them when we've got enough time to tend to that safely. But Jack Moss retires before we get going here in Junior Primo.
So you mentioned there JJ Plowman is not indeed on this grid, even though he qualified with them.
He didn't set a time. He was originally on the entry list for Junior Primo,
right?
But then somebody dropped out of what was already a capacity Junior Rotax grid,
right? And
he went, I'm going to go do Junior Rotax, so he's moved up. We haven't seen him yet today. I think he qualified in Group C, so he would have been 3rd, 6th, 9th, or anything on your 3 times tables there, kids, for practice. So if you're in that 3 times table, you'll be in Group C. So we will see JJ Plowman out a little bit later on. We've got Senior Rotax up next after this Junior Primo.
Joseph Mills certainly impressed me with his run at Wilton Mill in the first winter event for the Kart Championship. He came 7th in the final, but he had some great... I think he won a heat, if my memory serves
He won
me.
a heat and then retired from one, I think.
Yeah, that's what knocked him down. Yeah, here we go then. Joseph Mills, Thomas Harper with the Silkwood Jaguar livery on his left, and it's Mills who will lead. The black and white colours of Origin Motorsport lead into the first turn. And Thomas Harper, what happened to him?
He checked out. He saw the train was down the inside. I think he was conscious that they'd understeer into him. He was offline and then understeered wide. He's well down the order now. He's being swallowed up by the field. I think he could be down into P7 or 8 as they run up towards Senna 1. Mills with a good start. Alfie Forrester off the second row, slotting in nicely into second place behind Joseph Mills. There was no gap for Harper to get back in. And to be fair, he should have been third, but obviously the removal of Clark from the standings. And I did say to his dad before this one, I said, being third is better than second here, and it's proved my point.
Yeah, that is very true. Zach Kane there on the black and white cart there. Zach Kane on the number 23, moving up into what will be third place now as Joseph Mill leads by a full 7/10 of a second. Alfie Forrester in second, Zach Kane, Alex Forsyth, Tyler Davis, Thomas Harper dropping to 6th there. Cooper Campbell leads in 7th, Dominic Darling up 3 spots to 8th. Thomas Butcher dropping to 9th, and Lewis Gilbert also dropping a space to 10th.
Yeah, Harper now has got a train of karts behind him. This top 5 is quite fragmented at the moment, but behind that is a train of karts from Harper in 6th down to Ronnie Legg in 13th place that is very, very tightly packed together. There you can see it, Harper in the purple and white liveried cart with a train behind him. Cooper Campbell leads, a new name to effectively what we call owner karting. He's come through Club 100 and a bit of other higher karting as well, but is a driver that is very, very fast, using this Junior Primo as a stepping stone.
That's exactly why it's there. That's exactly what Junior Primo is about. It's that step into junior Rotax karting. You're not up against the 15-year-olds and the 16-year-olds, because it can get quite physical, Junior Rotax, as we saw in the first heat. So it's a little bit transitionary idea of creating Junior Primo. And it was a great idea from Darren Beavers and his team here at the Kart Championship. Harper in probably what is one of my favourite liveries of all time in motorsport, the Silk-Cut Jaguar livery. His dad, of course, owns a Jaguar. He's a Jag specialist, his dad, isn't he? Does he repair? He's a Jaguar repair specialist.
Parts. He does parts. So, they take the parts off them, they ship them around the world, that sort of thing. So,
I see. Right.
Okay. Auto Reserve Jaguar, which you'll see is in place of the branding that is not allowed to be on a kart these days.
The colours are still there.
Yeah, the colours are still there.
Yeah.
In front of them, that's a move. That's Tyler Davis attacking Alex Forsyth in the True Performance Motorsport number 89 in his LN Kart suit, white helmet. And
there he's tapping his helmet. He's not sort of happy with the advances of Tyler Davis. Tyler Davis wants to get by, and it's his prerogative whether or not he does try to get by or work together.
Forsyth's saying, let's work together to try and catch Zach Kane, but he's nearly a second behind, so Tyler Davis has got every right to try and attack him if he feels that he's got more pace. But again, Harper behind is closing up. Fastest lap of the race by Thomas Harper.
He learnt a big lesson at turn one, didn't he? He was on that outside line and he just got hung out to dry with the train coming down his inside. Now it's a recovery drive for that purple and white liveried helmeted Thomas Harper as these two continue. And there, down the inside, Davis makes the move. Can Forsyth come back at him? Not quite. And it will be Davis who leads into and out of the back chicane and on towards the Gasworks airpin, where he'll consolidate that position now.
Yeah, he's got a few kart lengths already on Alex Forsyth. Here's a replay of the move into Senna 2, just straight lines it in. Often you find the driver who's been overtaken gets a good little switchback and is down the inside, but I think Davis made the move that late that Forsyth didn't have enough time to react. He comes back through. Davis, though, has been given a track limits warning. Whether that was before or after finding a way past Alex Forsyth.
I'm not sure. Here comes Thomas Harper, though. The third kart in that picture there, the purple and white kart of Thomas Harper, is now going to be challenging Alex Forsyth. This is a battle for 5th and 6th there. The orange and white kart, the True Performance Motorsport team running Alex Forsyth here. Might be in his Lando Norris overalls, but he's with Ivor Powell's True Performance team, as Thomas Harper, who qualified higher than Forsyth, let's not forget, and then had an absolute nightmare of a turn one. Here he is about to challenge Forsyth, and doubtful whether Forsyth has got the pace to actually hold Harper back. We know how quick Harper can be.
Yeah, Harper's just got to make this move early for me. He showed what I feel was a bit of inexperience, which, that's Junior Primo at the first corner. Probably needed a little bit more aggression just on that turn in, but certainly has the pace. Now he's just got to find a way through. Has lost a few tenths in the opening sector, but appears to be quite strong through this switchback section, sectors 2 and 3 here at Warden Law. So let's see whether he can make the move. It's got to be for me into Gasworks. Is he going to be close enough as they head up towards the tight right downhill hairpin? Not close enough this time.
Well, local True Performance Motorsport is a local team here to Warden Law, so they have got some good local knowledge, which of course is passed on to their drivers. So, the inexperience is kind of the development curve is speeded up with local knowledge being passed on, and how Alex Forsyth is then able to apply that knowledge that he's been given is pretty surely, be clear to see here as Alex Forsyth continues to hold back Thomas Harper. Harper, new to junior Rotax, relatively speaking, so the newness of the kart is not necessarily about driving it around the track, it's also in racecraft and where you make that move and where you can outbrake or outdrive using momentum. Like for here, for instance, out of the back chicane, using that momentum down the back straight and into the braking area. Not that time for these two.
Yeah, Forsyth looked like he went in a little bit deep there, but as one True Performance Motorsport driver holds off Thomas Harper, another one in Jensen Cook has peeled off into the pit lane with a mechanical flag. His radiator was loose. Joe was moving around.
That's a shame. So Jensen Cook into the pits then.
The tyres from P15 as we track his TPM Motorsport teammate Alex Forsyth, who was currently in P5, has Thomas Harper all over the back of him, at least in sectors 2 and 3. Harper loses a bit of time lap on lap, I think, through sector number 1. But what I am seeing here, Joe, is that personal bests from Davis and Forsyth, Harper as well, are dragging them on towards the back of Zach Kane. I don't think they're going to catch him. I don't think they've got enough time.
Sorry, David. Just Harper. I thought Harper was going to have a dive down the inside. Of course,
Forsyth did as well, because I think he left him a gap.
He did. Mills across the line then. 13 seconds on the board, so it's going to be 2 laps for him, as he's been quite dominant. And another fastest lap from Mills, 51.22 at the front of this field, and he's got a gap of, let's call that 1.9 to Alfie Forrester. Got a further 2.5 seconds to Zach Kane, and then this lot here: Tyler Davis, Alex Forsyth there in the orange and white cart, and then we've got Thomas Harper in the purple and white cart.
Yeah, we've got another mechanical, but at the first corner, which the drivers will come to shortly, I don't know whether we'll have a yellow flag for our leaders, but Lewis Gilbert, who had a mechanical flag, has come into the pit lane and has taken out the barrier. So I don't know whether we'll have a yellow flag at this first corner for the leaders on the final lap round. I don't think we do. It is waved yellow, so there'll be no overtaking. Not that it'll make any difference for Joseph Mills. He's got a gap of nearly 2 seconds as he commences the final lap back to Alfie Forrester, who's had a superb race. Little mention of him, but he's been superb in second place in front of Zach Kane. That's your top 3 as it stands. Behind them, it's Davis, Forsyth and Harper.
Yeah, we've kind of neglected Joseph Mills because he's been so dominant. He'll just be coming out of Senna 2 now and heading towards the back chicane. So we'll try. We've got this battle that's beginning to develop there. But and there's Harper down the inside of Forsyth in a great move there. Joseph Mills just coming through the horseshoe now for the last time. That's him there just in the foreground in the white helmet. As we stick with Thomas Harper, Joseph Mills out onto the start-finish straight and takes the checkered flag with a very fine win indeed. 2.3 seconds to Alfie Forrester in second, Zach Kane in third, Tyler Davis fourth, Thomas Harper fifth, Alex Forsyth ended up in sixth, Cooper Campbell-Lees in seventh, Matthew Clark eighth, Dominic Darling was ninth. We've only 17 carts, I might as well read them all out. Thomas Butcher 10th, Ronnie Legg 11th, 12th was Cameron McNeil, Elijah Hartley was 13th, Stephen Jones was 14th, George Johnson was 15th, and then we had Lewis Gilbert and Jensen Cook, who were indeed retirements there at the final stages of that race.
So I think Lewis Gilbert could have been missing a chain guard, because the marshal has just brought one back straight in front of our commentary position, which, for the first time, we are in the Joe Bradley Memorial Suite. It's the first time I've used this. Normally we use the timing on the left, the timing tower on the left there for the circuit commentary. When we're live streaming, there's a briefing building just behind that we've used in the past. This is the first time that I've had the honour of the
Karting Live TV always do it from the Joe Bradley Memorial Suite, which is right there. You're right there in the green building there with a little window there.
The letterbox, as it looks like.
My hand.
I don't know if you can see us.
Don't know if you can see us there, but that's where we are. We've got. That's my right hand. Can't quite see David. Oh no, you can see. David.
I'm in all black though, honest. So
we've got a great view of that first turn, and I'm kind of future planning because I named it with the full support of Matt Hunter and track manager Paul Bainbridge, the Joe Bradley Memorial Suite. As of course, nobody will think of doing that when I'm dead. So I thought I'll do it now.
Well, absolutely. I was expecting as well maybe a blue plaque on a wall somewhere.
Well, we've got the Nick Damon Memorial urinal coming.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Lovely.
That's part of the building complex on the left of the screen there. The two-story building. That's going to house Hunter Motorsport, who was the local team here, and it's also going to be the headquarters of the Red Graphics Company, which is Adam Nichols' wife, who's
Danielle.
Yeah, of course. Forgot her name there for a moment.
Yeah. Just while we're on that, congratulations on the birth of their second child 2.5 weeks ago.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Did not know that.
I mean, I wouldn't. You
been
wouldn't,
busy then.
Well, you wouldn't know because I saw Danielle when she was like 8 months pregnant, and you couldn't even tell. And then 2.5 weeks ago they gave birth to their second child. She's still working hard from home though, because it's the off season effectively. Got to knock them sticker kits out ready for next year.
It's
for Red Graphics,
dying to get into their new premises.
They do. They turned up today to paint it, didn't they? So 2.5 weeks after giving birth, and she's here ready to paint their new premises. So both Red Graphics and Apollo Karts will be based here at Warden Law. Red Graphics do the sticker kits for my lad's kart. So and I spoke to Danielle about next year's livery.
Is this a bit of history now, David? Is this the first time we've had seniors?
The first time since Wilton.
We had seniors.
At Wilton.
So, sorry, the Kart Championship Winter Series is the first time we've had senior classes in the Winter Series, and that continues into this second event with the S-plate holder, the Scottish champion, Max Taylor, here with, is that Craft Motorsport that Max is with? I'm trying to look at his livery there. So Max Taylor on the pole position with Rhys Bailey alongside. Second row is Henry Gregory and Lewis Marica. Morgan Hudson-Brown and Harry Bloor share row 3. Ben Horner and Marcus King are on row 4. Row 5 is Stephen Napier and Angus Scrivener. Harry Hurst-Grover and William Eberhardt are on row 6. Sam Kelbrick and Ethan Head are on row 7. Mac McGivelray and Luca Palazzo are on row 8. Ewan Hughes and Molly Pugh are on row 9. Then row 10, Elliot Foster and Mark Gillibrand. And then we've got Jack West starting in 21st after a technical infringement in qualifying. We are very much underway, David.
Round the outside goes Rhys Bailey. Oh no, we're not underway. We've had a very, very late false start flag that came out as they headed up towards the first corner. They were under the first light board on the exit of the turn 1, and the lights were flashing with a false start. Doesn't look like everybody's 100% aware of that, but it was a false start because they do appear to still be racing towards the final corner, which is being covered under yellow flags. They've either got to slow it down really, really quickly.
You know what I find? I find with the senior class, they may look, yes, they've acknowledged it, and they'll just keep on going because they want to get heat into the tyres.
Absolutely.
I remember the first ever Super 1 round I did, and we went off out of the collecting area, and I couldn't keep up with the field. They just left me for dead. And I was like, hang on, lads, it's only the warm-up lap. And it was like, they're absolutely on it from the very outset. Get some energy through those tyres. Right, let's have another go at it, David. Here we go. Max Taylor, Rhys Bailey, and we get started this time. It's another false flat, another false start. There's something that Dan Ashton is not happy with, and I think it's the speed.
Yeah.
And the time, he likes them to come out that first turn off the throttle. And I think we're accelerating too early, if I know Dan.
Yeah, there is a yellow line across the circuit. It is 25 metres behind the start line. That's the acceleration line. I attended the driver briefing this morning for drivers that weren't here yesterday. The driver briefing, the same for all of our classes. And in rolling start, Dan was very, very clear in saying, if you accelerate, coming round or just out of that final corner, we will false start this race.
He always does. He's very, and the thing about Dan Ashton is he's very, very consistent.
Yeah, what I would say about any Clark or anything like that, look, there's going to be decisions that you don't like. There's going to be decisions you don't agree with. What you will find from our race director here at the Kart Championship, whether you like it or not, it's consistent meeting on meeting. Race on race from Dan Ashton. He's very clear, and often you'll find 3 false starts, he'll red flag it, he'll put the front row to the back.
Well, this is their third try. Let's see if they get things away. They do get off. It's Rhys Bailey and Max Taylor who head into turn 1. The Craft Motorsport drivers have been squeezed out. We've got an interloper into the Craft Motorsport Christmas party there.
It's Henry Gregory who arrives without invite into second place, a driver who is more familiar with Senior X30, having won championships at PFI and Wilton Mill this season, and he's down the inside of the S-plate of Max Taylor, and Henry Gregory proving whether it's X30 or Senior Rotax. He's at the front of either.
Well, that was a very, very decisive move, And he was very decisive at turn 1. He's even more decisive by the time they get to the centres. And just look at his body language there, hustling the kart on these relatively cooler tyres. They've had, 3 rolling laps. So the tyres will come on a little bit quicker here as we complete the first racing lap here for Senior Rotax. And here's a challenge, side by side into turn 1. Max Taylor on the S-plate takes the lead. This is going to be absolutely to the flag, David.
Yeah, they're not going to push each other in this one. I think we're going to see a scrap from start to finish. Taylor then leads from Gregory. Rhys Bailey in front of Morgan Hudson-Brown and Harry Bloor. Ben Horner, who we're used to seeing in junior Rotax, is now in senior. In the number 12, the 15-year-old from Huddersfield is into seniors for what I believe is the first time. He's in front of Marcus King, Harry Hurst-Grover and Ethan Head. Mac McGilvery completes your top 10.
So first 3 being joined by another 3 there. Morgan Hudson-Brown, Harry Bloor and Ben Horner wanting to get on terms with these 3. It's kind of, I can just tell that Max Taylor wants to get in. He wants to lead this race, which is where he is now. He want to start commanding and managing the pace a little bit without giving too much away, because Henry Gregory, like you say, David, out of X30. Is this his first Rotax meeting?
I think he's done 1 or 2 before, right, okay. But X30 is his usual kart of choice. Not
dissimilar performance levels from the IAME engine class in X30, which we don't have in the kart championship. So he's not unfamiliar with the performance level of the Rotax kart, and you can kind of see that. But very, very similar driving styles as well, is what I'm told. Here we go, down the inside. This is great stuff, isn't it, David?
Yeah, it took Taylor a little bit by surprise there as he made the move fairly late into the Gasworks hairpin. Rhys Bailey sticking to the back of this one, but it's allowed Morgan Hudson-Brown, Harry Bloor and Ben Horner as well in 6th place, and straight back at him comes Max Taylor. This has got all the earmarks of 2 karts with different gearing, Joe, here, because Taylor's got more at the end of the straight here, and I think Gregory's got a little bit more out of the corners, in the tighter corners, and then is able to work this infield section a little bit better. What it is doing, though, it's backing the 2 of them into the rest of the pack. We are 6 deep for the lead.
We've seen this happen. Keep your kids away from the barriers, everybody, because this is about to kick right off there. We're not even at half distance. We're almost a minute away from the half distance mark, and I don't know how many changes for the lead, let alone down the field we've got in this senior battle. This is cracking style. Now then, are we going to see Max Taylor do exactly what he's done the previous 2 laps? Or he tries to defend it, and if anything, that was a blocking tactic there from Henry Gregory. He didn't want that to happen this time, did he?
No, he saw it coming. He did only make that 1 move to sort of defend. He wasn't weaving down the straight. He saw the move coming, and that might be the move that gives him enough space to try and break away, because we know he's a little bit, I wouldn't say quicker, but he's certainly geared, I think, to get him round this middle sector of the track a little bit cleaner.
You can see there, David, the way he punched out of that second centre, the way he punches out of the chicane there. He's just got it's just a little eke of a punch that breaks the gap.
Yeah, and what it does there, it means that at the end of this start-finish straight, it means that he's already at the end of his rev range, where Taylor's still got a bit more, and hence why Taylor looks a little bit more racy towards the end of this straight.
Let's see if it happens again. Max Taylor. No, he just sits there in the slipstream, and if anything, he got a massive oversteer there.
Yeah.
The back end just gave up on that. It said, nope, I can't grip any longer, and it snapped away from him. And just look at what that's meant from the gap to the leader. Rhys Bailey comes down his inside. The 2 Craft Motorsport teammates side by side into the second centre, and there's Ultimate R's Morgan Hudson-Brown into 3rd. Morgan Hudson-Brown been playing a waiting game there, the orange and white kart of Morgan Hudson-Brown. Now let's see what he can do about Max Taylor.
Well, these all battling has allowed a few more into the mix as well. That's Harry Bloor down the inside of Morgan Hudson-Brown. Jack West is in the mix. He's up to 6th. Ben Horner down to 7th. Ethan Head, Harry Hurst-Grover as well. We're all the way down, I think, to Ethan Head, I think, in 8th place. We've got less than 2 seconds splitting the top 8, but there's half a second between the 2 leaders. The squabbling on that lap has handed it to Henry Gregory. These now need to calm down, work together for a few laps to try and reel him back in, because if not, they're going to hand the win to the 77.
This is a great race for Senior Rotax here in the Kart Championship Winter Series event here at Warden Law. We've got a train of 8 karts there, all the way back to Ethan Head, who Ethan Head, a local driver to Warden Law, won championship, club championship rounds here, and will be wanting to get involved in his Hunter Motorsport or on his Hunter Motorsport kit with the Venator engine. However, he's got a big ask, as he's got about 7 karts to get through to get to the lead, and that's a massive ask, because that man there, Henry Gregory, he's now established that control you talked about, David, in the midfield. The infield section is where his advantage is. But I tell you what, as I say that, Max Taylor proves me a liar, as he's right on his bumper there.
Personal best from Taylor on the last lap was 0.3 quicker than Henry Gregory. And Max now in that second place, closing in. Keep an eye out for me for Jack West. He started to move through this pack now. The 92 in 5th place. Got past Rhys Bailey, who's had a turbulent couple of laps, having run as high as 2nd in this race as Rhys Bailey. And we'll see how he goes. He's got a gap, though. He's falling away off this top 5. Keep an eye out for me for that. Looks like it's Thule Motorsport colours in 5th place, but I think running on their own this weekend for Jack West in the number 92 machine. They crossed the line with about 1:20. That'll be 3 laps of senior Rotax. Henry Gregory still holding firm at the front from Max Taylor, Morgan Hudson-Brown, Harry Bloor and Jack West. The top 5 split by a second. That's
the first of the centre hairpins, the left-hander there, quickly into the second centre, and then as Gregory still leads these two, Max Taylor looking very menacing, I think. Morgan Hudson-Brown looking even more menacing, and that train of karts heading into the gasworks now. Oh, and there's a move down the inside for the 92. That is Jack West, who tried down the inside of Harry Bloor. I'm not sure that's gone his way, but the number 19 of Rhys Bailey found himself in 6th place there, being hustled down to 6th as we've got three wide action onto the grass there, 3 wide action down to turn 1, and it all settles down. This is all that action I mentioned there, just behind these 3, all beginning to kick off. We daren't take our eyes off this battle for first, second and third, though, as that definitely, that orange and white livery number 25 of Morgan Hudson-Brown looks like he's about to challenge, if anything, David. It'll be the last lap board next time by as well.
Well, now Max Taylor, who a lap ago was very occupied at trying to get past Henry Gregory, has now had to switch that to a more defensive tactic. Not defensive enough, though, as down the inside of him into the right-hander at Gasworks goes Morgan Hudson-Brown, and the 25 is up into 2nd place.
Yeah, that was where the move started, wasn't it? And then just lined up down the inside on the brakes into the gasworks, and great driving from Taylor as well, who accommodated that. It was pointless trying to fight. Both would have ended up off the track if they had. They're on the final lap, David, and Henry Gregory, you mentioned, not that familiar with the Rotax Max class, but certainly showing that the grounding that he's had in X30 has come to pay, as he's now where he wanted to be at the start, wanted to be in control and managing the pace at the front.
It is Morgan Hudson-Brown closing in this final lap, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. Henry Gregory, as that's Jack West down the inside of Max Taylor for 3rd place. Henry Gregory, who might not be familiar with senior Rotax, but is very familiar with winning races and championships, wins the first race in senior Rotax here today. From Morgan Hudson-Brown and Jack West, Max Taylor, Rhys Bailey complete the top 5 in front of Harry Bloor, Ethan Head, Ben Horner, Harry Hurst-Grover and Mac McGilvray. That's your top 10.
That, you know what, mate, that bodes very well indeed. I mean, that wasn't even for a trophy. That's just establishing your foundation going into the weekend. When everything, gets more intense going into the finals, we are in for a treat there with that senior class.
Well, I know we're due to watch Junior Rotax in a moment, and I don't think it's going to be any less entertaining. But if Senior Rotax just want to roll round, regrid up and have another go at it, let's go for it.
Well, we've got a little time for that, David.
We do. Something's come off. Oh, that's Matteo Palazzo's car, and something's come off it. And if I had to put money on it, I think it could be half a pedal. I'm not sure. I'm going to wait till he pushes it in, but he's come in. He's ended up on the grass, and he's looking at the car somewhat bewildered. So whatever's come off it definitely shouldn't have done. I'll keep an eye on that, Joe, while you introduce our A versus C Junior Rotax Heat 2 grid.
I'm just noticing there that we've got the number 269 of Oakley Garthwaite at the front of the field. Now, I can't. That's because I can't see. Oakley Garthwaite's actually on row 2. We've got poleman again is Daniel Minto. He learned a big lesson there, being hung out to dry and lost the lead, but then got it back with that coming together of the karts in front of him. Daniel Minto on the pole position, just out of our camera shot, just underneath the camera is Zane Quaker on the number 222. Now, Zane is here with Zane. What team? I'm trying to remember what team.
Zane's with Ultimate R, and he was sensational at Wilton Mill, wasn't he? He had a difficult qualifying and heat, came through the field in the final. He is certainly one to watch when he qualifies at the right end of the grid, and has done this time round.
It's going to be a ding-dong, isn't it? Daniel Minto and Zane Quaker. It's Hunter Motorsport versus Ultimate R on the front row. Second row of the grid is Charlie Wolfett. We saw how quick he can be. And Charlie was one of those drivers that ended up with that incident, didn't it? It put him down the order at the very flag there. Oakley Garthwaite is on the second row of the grid with him. Third row is Finley Buck and Riley Bishop. Fourth row, Milo Manderson and Ewan House. And then we have Rain Gandor and Charlie Vary sharing row 5. Daniel Hartley is alongside Charlie Benson on row 6, with Owen Wallace and Marcel Poppercull on row 7. Row 8 is Alfie McBain and James Kell. And then on row 9, Jack Robinson and Gregor Reid. Row 10, Amy Peacock, Alfie Lambert. Then we've got Oliver Liversedge and Bella Brown. Bella McConville and Oliver White share row 12. Row 13 is Daniel Callahan and Melissa Adrian, with Andrew Dixon and Logan Lauder next. Harris Halley and Mark Arthur. JJ Plowman and Tyler Richardson share row 16. And then Braden Donahue rounds off a 33 kart field. Another strong showing for the junior rotor class in rude health.
Yeah, the thing to note for this one, because we're running a 2/3 format with A versus B, B versus C and C versus A, is some of these drivers have raced once already. Some of these drivers haven't been on track for 4 hours since qualifying. So let's see whether it's freshness against recent experience, because on the front row you've got Minto, he's raced already, Quaker hasn't. Wolfett, he's raced already. He was involved in that incident with Finley Buck. Finley Buck got a 5-second penalty for that incident. Oakley Garthwaite, he hasn't raced, but we know he's raced round here a lot.
He's won trophies here as Oakley. He won the IPKC. He kicked off the season here in February with an IPKC round and took it in great style. Yeah, so he knows his way around.
I remember watching him at the Warden Club meeting going toe-to-toe with Addison Smith, who was another driver.
Here we go, David. That's going to be a false start. Yeah,
the front and the back of the grid were in different postcodes when they crossed the timing line there.
Yeah, they were far too strung out.
Certainly not close enough for Dan Ashton's liking, and I can understand why.
Hello to Martin Lloyd, who messages in, well done Ethan and Alfie, and a brilliant team effort. I think that was from Micromax. Is it?
Yes, Alfie Garrett, Ethan Lloyd, top 2 in micro. Alfie taking the victory from Ethan.
Yeah, so we nice to have everybody along there. Don't forget to message in with any questions for David and I. We'll try and answer. If we don't know the answer, we certainly know people who do know the answer to most things.
And then we'll find out the answer and pass it off as if we know the answer.
That's what we do. That's why we are given these microphones, David. Absolutely. We are the font of all knowledge, even though we are passing on knowledge. We've got a very nicely formed grid coming out of the Gasworks hairpin. They will form up through the horseshoe, the never-ending left-hander. It just goes on and on and on forever. I remember racing here myself, and just that neck really loads up through that section there. And then the final turn here, the paddock turn, it's a hairpin turn, all important because it governs the speed all the way down this straight as we get things underway. And it's Daniel Minto on the inside, being squeezed out slightly and ending up in second this time.
False start again, though,
it's a false start.
Yeah, they were on. Oh, we've got drivers off. I think Callahan is one of them in the 249 and the 231. And we've had a red flag. And what this means is solely that Dan Ashton's not happy with the start procedure. We've only had 2 bites at it, but they're just powering down, Joe. As soon as they come out of the final corner, and what that meaning is that the back of the field is still halfway round the horseshoe.
Yeah, that's right.
They can't power down, and what we want is everybody in a reasonable single file line, and looks like they're going to...
There's a bit of a fine line. I mean, when we see the likes of Kai Hunter here, who, current UKC champion, former British champion, and sort of this is his back garden. He comes around there at literally walking pace. I don't know how they do that, and it's all about getting the clutch up, the spinning up as well.
It's that fine line between oiling your plug up and getting your clutch engaged perfect.
I'm not necessarily a big fan of that myself, to be honest. The slow walking.
I was about to say, I'll let you tell him.
Yeah, I will tell him. I'll tell him. Yeah, he's in Las Vegas actually this weekend, running at the Super Nationals. Good luck to him there. But yeah, this kind of like a blend between, certainly that's too fast, what we've just seen there, and accelerating too early is, I think, what we saw the pole man being guilty of. And not necessarily the pole man. Zane Quaker was already ahead of Daniel Minto when we got to that start line.
Sometimes the pole man as well doesn't have a choice, because if third and fifth and seventh and ninth are already powering on,
that's right,
you can put the brakes on, but you're still just getting pushed forwards. What I will imagine in a minute is this is the front two have been invited to an audience with Dan Ashton.
Dan Ashton's there with the green earmuffs. Now, they may look like ear defenders. They're actually furry earmuffs to keep his ears warm. He's very delicate. That's the man in charge, and the man to the left of the picture there with the blue and orange bib with the dark glasses, that's Stu Stretton. Now, Stu is our official Kart Championship photographer, and if you go to Stu Stretton Photography, you can actually see the pictures that he's taken, and they are for sale. If you want a nice action shot for your games room or wherever, or your bar.
I have a Stu Stretton photograph. A canvas under the stairs where my lad's got his gaming sim and his...
I'm pleased you said that. Just put one of Stu Stretton's photographs under the stairs and out of sight.
Yeah. I have a brilliant Stu Stretton photo of my lad at Fullbeck where he's half off the track. Front wheels are both in the air, his rear wheels are spinning, wet tyres on, it's just flying mud behind him. It looks full on autograss. It's one of the best pictures I've got. But when I say best, also worst, because it means he's made a massive mistake.
Yeah, true.
But the picture's great. Looks like we're just reforming the grid up down the tail end of the field and making sure everyone's in the right places. We had drivers spinning that will need reforming up, as that's the 249 of Daniel Callahan with the orange helmet.
Bit of an insight as well for us, David. You're here in a T-shirt.
Well, the door's closed. It's fine.
You haven't got your shorts on this time. But an indication of just how chilly it is here at Warden Law this weekend. Dan Ashton and a lot of the staff, trackside staff, covering their faces for the wind chill factor here. We are on the northeast coast of England. We are on the highest point in the borough of Sunderland. There's a monolithic burial site here, like 10,000 years old, just on the highest point of the hilltop, just over the way. But you can, from the highest point here, look out and you can see the North Sea. And there's pretty much nothing between us and the Arctic Circle.
Yeah,
and when the wind is coming from that direction, it is very, very cold. And my heart goes out to our cameramen. Paul's out there, Asher's out there, and Martin's on the rooftop bringing us the scene from turn one. And they've got their layers on, I can assure you. So that gives you an indication. When I talk about getting the tyres up to that optimum operating temperature, it's not an easy task this weekend.
What I would say is where the leaders are now, that line that goes all the way across the track, that is the acceleration line. That's where they should be.
You're not allowed to accelerate before that line.
Well, definitely. Well, you shouldn't. There's a little bit of grace period. There always is going to be. But what Dan will have been saying is you're accelerating out of the final corner, and this is where you should be. We've got one driver peeling off into the pits already. That's the 241 of Alfie Lambert, and we've got one driver who's not made it away at the start already.
And that's the old plug syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah, so Alfie Lambert's currently out of his kart now. Warden Law, is a track where you can come in and fix your car and go back out again, because there's a cut through, and it looks like Alfie Lambert is going again. That's a Fernando Alonso-esque helmet. From his earlier years, I think, but certainly the kart livery, but he's back out.
Well, the field are already at the gasworks, so we may not delay the start, and Alfie Lambert might just have to have his own lonely race catching up to the back of the field. Whether or not we'll get this race underway, as we have the field now into the horseshoe, then we're not that far away from getting towards the final turn. We go through the 1, 2, 3
He might just catch up the back.
He's making good ground.
He's not going to be able to retake position, that's for sure.
He will start at the back, won't he?
Yeah, he will start at the back, but he's going to be there or thereabouts as
I think we get underway, and Quaker leading into turn one around the outside, and Quaker sliding very wide indeed, hanging on to that with all he could, and that's allowed. Who's that in the Team UK
Charlie
overalls?
Wolfett,
Charlie Wolfett, of course. Absolutely great start from Wolfett, but it's Minto who leads.
Minto leads from Wolfett. Finley Buck from 5th up into 3rd place with a good start. Then it's Riley Bishop who dominated on effectively home turf for Wilton Mill in 4th place. Your top 4 and a little bit of a breakaway, and Finley Buck tries a move down the inside of Charlie Wolfett. Those two already very familiar with themselves after heat number 1.
Finley Buck, cheeky little move there out of the second of the Sennas there, and Wolfett there just having to defend ever so slightly. Here they come then. It's going to be one lap completed as they come out of the final turn. We'll get an idea of who's in your top 10 as across the line has gone Minto, no, that's all wrong, isn't it? I'm not sure what is happening with Hart.
I think Bella McConville was the driver that didn't start. That could be the other driver, but it is Daniel Minto leading from Charlie Wolfett and Finley Buck. Riley Bishop and Oakley Garthwaite. Zane Kuwaker from the front row is down in 6th place in front of Milo Manderson, Charlie Very, Ewan House and Brown Grandor.
I'm glad that sorted itself out, David. That was very confusing there. Minto coming under pressure from Wolfett out of the chicane and down towards the gasworks. Finley Buck and Riley Bishop not that far behind, as Finley Buck right onto the rear bumper there, and then Riley Bishop, he's on the, what cart is that?
That's the TB cart.
That's the TB cart,
run
isn't it?
by X-Kart,
yeah.
As a TB chassis, and you could see that semi-defensive line from Daniel Minto. Held on at Gasworks, but doesn't hold on into the first corner. Charlie Wolfett down the inside. Wolfett leads in the 2.95 from Daniel Minto and Finley Buck, your top 3. But in Minto, in that semi-defensive line, we did have 4 drivers for the lead. Now we're going to go all the way down, I think, to the 2.92 of Milo Manderson in 7th. Further back, that looks like Oakley Garthwaite coming under pressure from Zane Kuwaker. Indeed it was. That's opened up a little bit of a gap to him and Riley Bishop.
Well, we know how quick Quaker is. He qualified 2nd on the grid there, but he fell foul of that first turn, didn't he? As we've seen many drivers do, sliding very wide. He's now down in 6th and challenging onto the back end of that Oakley Garthwaite kart, the Origin Motorsport black and white livery kart of Garthwaite, struggling to keep him by. But they're all in a big train. They're all in a big train as Wolfett comes through. Minto 2nd, Buck, Bishop, Garthwaite, and who's that down the inside?
Buck down the inside of Daniel Minto, and it's double pain for Daniel Minto. 5-second penalty applied to both him and Zane Kuwaker for disobeying start orders.
Oh, that is a controversial decision as ever, with a penalty being given to Minto and Quaker, the 2 front row drivers, taking what will be 5 seconds. That's going to be a tough call, and it's going to drop them down the order. Minto currently in 3rd. It's going to drop him. We'll try and work that out as they come through. But very much the man at the front, Charlie Wolfett, carrying his Team UK from the World Rotax Finals there, the overalls of our leader, the blue and white. But this is where the battle is. Ultimate R's, Finley Buck now in 2nd.
Yep. What a showing as well from Team UK overall at the Rotax Grand Finals over at the Circuit de Napoli in Sarno. We were pretty much on the podium in every class, including, I think, Inter Mini was all, the top 3 were all
incredible.
Were all from Team UK. Big shout out as well to a local driver from up here in Austin Oman in getting on the podium in a micro. In the top 3 at the World Finals.
He'll be here tomorrow for a trophy presentation with his dad. Yeah, so we'll get to see him.
So is that tomorrow or is that tonight for the Spring Series ones? Or?
Not quite connected.
No, different ones.
More of that tomorrow.
Excellent.
Yeah, we'll get to see him and congratulate him on what was a great effort. Local lad. That battle there with the bright green TB kart of Riley Bishop, he will be, whether or not they're aware of this penalty that's been applied to that kart there of Daniel Minto, the orange helmet there of the Hunter Motorsport driver, under massive amount of pressure now from Bishop, who likewise is going to be coming under a massive amount of pressure from Oakley Garthwaite. Zane Quaker behind them, he's on a recovery drive, but more so, who's that down the inside? Is that Garthwaite?
It is Garthwaite down the inside of Bishop for 4th place. Bishop now under pressure as well to hold on to 5th from Zane Kuwaker, the second of the 2 drivers with the 5-second penalties applied to them.
Garthwaite waited now. He's now on to the rear bumper of his former teammates at Hunter Motorsport. Otley Garthwaite moving on to the back of that Daniel Minto kart. Minto getting his head down. Whether or not he's aware of the 5-second penalty, it doesn't matter. He's just getting on with it, isn't he?
I don't think he is, because when he came under, he was looking over his shoulder, so I don't think at any point he's seen it.
Yeah, exactly. Head ducked down behind the steering wheel, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think we've had another 5-second penalty applied. I think this time it's for Oliver White. It's not come up on the timing, but on the back of the... that what they do here at Warden, which is very helpful, is not only on the front of the overhead gantry, Joe, they put it on the back as well so that we can see it from the commentary box.
Yeah,
greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, Warden Law.
Just popped up there. Penalty for Oliver White on the number 244. He's down the order in 20 seconds, so his tale of woe continues as we continue with this battle for 3rd on the road there.
Wolfit's
Daniel Minto.
checked out.
Yeah, and who's that? Just got ahead of Garthwaite.
Finley Buck.
It's Finley Buck still. So that's Minto ahead of Finley Buck again. Yeah. So Minto's found pace towards the end of this race.
Yeah, he has. Minto still in that 2nd place from Finley Buck. But we go all the way down here. Is that you? Who's that on the tail end of this? Is that Ewan House? It is in the 226. The Scottish driver, as Riley Bishop is forced wide. He's going to come back down the inside of the 222 of Zane Kuwaker. Behind them in a slightly more defensive line is Ewan House, but that's because I think he's found the way past Milo Manderson.
Yeah, he has. Looks like he's got ST Racing's livery on there. He's down as a privateer, but the bright yellow and blue livery, while Daniel Minto does a great job in keeping Finley Buck still behind him. Whether or not they're catching the leader there, Charlie Wolfit, remains to be seen. And a little bit of gesticulation there as Minto looked over his shoulder. It's kind of like they're talking to one another. Minto gets the nod from Finley Buck to just get on with it. Let's catch Wolfit, who's got a gap there, David, of what is that? 8/10 of a
It is,
second.
but the match, look at that. There's a thousandth, 2,000ths, then 5,000ths of a second.
Garthwaite past Buck. Buck coming back towards him as well. So a couple of change places there. We'll not even know about that if it stays like that. But Garthwaite did get ahead of Buck, but Buck comes straight back at him.
Yeah, the swap places, and that's opened the gap up to Daniel Minto in 2nd place. Wolfit will come round with 20 seconds on the clock at the minute, so he's going to get round with 2 laps to go at the end of this lap. 16 seconds to go. Charlie Wolfit leads from Daniel Minto and Finley Buck. Then it's Oakley Garthwaite, and dropping down the order is Zane Kuwaker, and that's because he's off on the outside of the track at Senna 1. Zane Kuwaker, who had a 5-second penalty applied to him anyway and was running inside the top 5, is falling down the order and into retirement. Wolfit, Minto and Buck then at the front. From Garthwaite, Ewan House, Milo Manderson and Riley Bishop, Marcel Popical, last year's Primo champion Daniel Hartley, and Owen Wallace with a lap and a half to go.
Getting towards that last lap board then, coming up for Charlie Wolfit, this time by Daniel Minto, comfortably in that 2nd place there. Not forgetting the penalty that will be implied there, so the results, as we call them, very much provisional. All beginning to settle down now as Otley Garthwaite on the black and white kart begins to eye up that orange and white kart of Finley Buck. And if anything's going to happen, it'll be that 3rd place there, as Garthwaite looks very racy indeed. Minto's got a bit of a cushion, hasn't he? And already Buck choosing to defend there. He knows how quickly Garthwaite can get by there, and that's where he got by before, but Buck defends, and another defensive line into the chicane. This is going to stifle his lap time somewhat, but he's going to defend. It's the last lap, David. That's all he can do.
Absolutely, and he takes a defensive line once again. Just behind them, Ewan House tries to move down the inside, but then will then come under pressure from Milo Manderson and Riley Bishop. At the front, though, Charlie Wolfit has commanded this race since getting to the front. Wolfit wins from Daniel Minto and Finley Buck. Oakley Garthwaite, Ewan House and Milo Manderson, Riley Bishop, Marcel Popical, Daniel Hartley, but he's got a 5-second penalty applied as well just before the end of the race in front of Owen Wallace. Your top 10 But Daniel Minto will drop from 2nd to 10th. Then he'll gain a place back because of Hartley's penalty. I think Minto will drop to 9th.
Yeah, we are very much provisional results there. And we stand corrected. Charlie Wolfett's Team UK suit was from 2023.
Oh.
Yeah. Time flies.
Good to see he's not grown.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Time flies, and it all sort of becomes a mash of results there. We once again move swiftly on, and that concludes all of our first heats, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Moving swiftly on, and we're back on with our Bambino classes.
Before you hit the grid, Joe, because we've
cool.
got carts to be collected from all over. I think JJ Plowman's cart's being collected from the outside of the horseshoes, Ainker Wakers all the way around there. We mentioned at the start the Autumn Cup, but then failed to go any more into that as to how that fits within the permutations of the Kart Championship event, the Warden Law Autumn Cup. Tell me about that.
So the Autumn Cup has been part of the Warden Law Kart Club at this point of the year, November. Along comes the Kart Championship wanting to put on their event, so we thought, well, why don't we put them all together? So the Autumn Cup is up for grabs this weekend, and it will be awarded to the driver in each class, just the one driver in each class, who has accrued the most points through the heats and pre-finals and finals. So what that means is you can win all of your heats and pre-final, and then, or your super heat, I should say, all of your heats and super heat, and then have a nightmare in the final, but still have more points because you've won the heats and the super heat. So it will be all the points accumulated for all of the races that have gone ahead. And it will be the Autumn Cup will be awarded to the driver in each class who has achieved that maximum points haul. So it's just everything lumped together. So beautiful trophies to be awarded at tomorrow night's Kart Championship presentation, along with, of course, the Kart Championship Winter Series trophies. So a lot of silverware up for grabs, quite frankly.
Yeah, and this evening as well, I believe, we'll be handing out trophies tonight.
For the Warden Law Spring Series.
Absolutely.
Yes, seems like an age ago. The Ost Norman trophy presentation will be for a trophy that has been part of the Warden Law Kart Club for some years. Brian's Bend, named after Brian Hornby, who's a very close personal friend of mine. We lost Brian in 2006 under very tragic circumstances. We keep his memory alive here at Warden Law because he might have been very small in stature. I think he was about 5'7", but he was very large in personality. And we keep Brian's memory very much alive. We present the Brian Hornby Trophy to one of the most promising drivers, or the most promising driver, who are representing the northeast of England on a national level. And Austin Orman will be the recipient of that this year. And Austin, first in the UKC Championship, vice champion in the British Championship, and I think you said third in the World Finals. And there is the Bambino Dad's Race, being taken very seriously by Mr. Bobblehat.
Yeah, Bobblehat leads from cap behind.
He has absolutely put a lot of effort, a lot of training gone into this event, as he takes the win in very humble style. We have got oxygen available. They're just acknowledging the flag there.
Yep, so arms up in the air, takes the line, and then goes full Conor McGregor strut for a couple of seconds there as he shakes the shoulders, and he's still celebrating down there at the far end. And now he's bent double.
Now he's gasping
now
for
he's
air.
Bent double.
Now he's gasping for air as the rest of the stragglers come in. Let's have a look at the grid. So once again, the first race off will be the C50, the petrol-engined, Coma-engined Bambinos. Hendricks, Fallat, Raythorne on the front row. Jensen O'Connor, Calman Simon on row 2. Benjamin Shivar, Tommy Lovejoy on row 4. Lani Aiden and Oliver Bullock on row 4, I should say. Isaac Young and Alfie Ward on row 5. Then we've got the Might E Bambinos. This is the race that we're going to follow here in this heat. Arthur Bowers and Oliver Woodall on the front row for the Might E's. Heath Smith and Jensen James on row 2. Junior Wright and Freddie Dye on row 3. Then we've got Ethan Hulme and Arthur Rhodes on row 4. Row 5 is Arthur Thompson and Ava Garrett, with Noah Brad rounding off the Might E grid. We are clearing the grid. 5-second board flies. We get the C50 petrol-engined carts underway, and it will be Hendricks, Fallat and Raythorne who get those karts away. They are off and away for their heat. This time, for this heat, we'll focus on the Might E Bambinos, who are about to get their start. They get their clear grid, and we'll be very soon getting them underway. No engine revs rise for this one, David, as they're all electrically powered.
No engine revs rise. You hear a very unique noise, which the first time I watched Mighty Bambino, I just couldn't figure out what it was, and it's the rattle of the side pod in the mounting. When they go round the corners, you can sort of hear like a and it's the side pod mounting as we are away and racing in our Mighty Bambino. Arthur Bowers in the 99 leads us up to the first corner. Oliver Woodall behind. These two battled it out, albeit off camera. We kept track of it through the first Bambino race of this weekend, but those two squabbled throughout.
It's an RCE 1-2-3 by the looks of that.
Yes, it is. Although no, it's a 1-2.
Yeah, the number 3 there was the number 3 of Heath Smith, just getting a wheel on the outside there on the grass, just coming out of St John's, and he's dropped a couple of places behind as the number 99, Arthur Bowers, leading his teammate out onto the back straight there.
Yeah, Bowers then leads from Woodall, although that is brief as Woodall comes down the inside into the right-hander. Bowers tries to come back at him. Behind them it's Heath Smith, it's Junior right behind them. Jensen James Williams is up into 4th place. Heath Smith went from 3rd down into 5th by running wide in the left-hander of St John's.
Here they come then, 1 lap completed. Still very close, isn't it? The whole field is very close, David. Arthur Bowers, Oliver Woodall, and then as these two absolutely nose to tail into turn 1, behind them Junior Wright, Jensen James Williams, Heath Smith, Arthur Rhodes, Ethan Hume. But I wonder if they've got any team orders at RCE. I wonder if they've said, just don't take anyone off, follow each other round and try and build up a gap, which if that was the mission statement, they are very much pulling that off.
They might have been told some team orders, but I imagine as young drivers, they forgot about that very quickly as soon as the lights go out. But the two at the front seem to be complying. Behind, though, we've got an almighty squabble going on from 3rd down into 7th or 8th place. It's Ethan Hume on the back of it. There's contact there between what looks to be Jensen James Williams and Arthur Rhodes. It is in the 82, up into 5th place. Behind them, Heath Smith and Ethan Hume.
So that blue and black kart is the 3rd place kart of Junior Wright. Now these three, Junior Wright, Jensen James Williams and Heath Smith, these three are pulling away as the yellow kart of Jensen James Williams pulls alongside and he takes... Junior Wright pulls alongside and he takes Jensen James Williams with him.
Yeah, no, it was Jensen James Williams and taking Arthur Rhodes with him.
Oh, was it really?
Down the
right,
inside.
Of course, I'm a space out there, aren't I?
With a good move, JJ Williams coming out the slipstream, Arthur Rhodes just pushing him along as they both take Junior Wright for 3rd place in this Mighty Bambino. Then sliding wide goes JJ Williams. Expect Arthur Rhodes with a bit of a switchback here. Switchback duly complete. He's up into 3rd place.
Wow, so Arthur Rhodes has gone from that, what was 5th place in this train, as they're the two leaders, and a change for position as the number 5 Oliver Woodall goes back into the lead. We saw Arthur Bowers leading for a little bit there. Now Oliver Woodall back into that lead of this race overall. The RCE drivers, let's see if they're being caught by who is now Arthur Rhodes in that 3rd place as they come across the line. Let's see what the gap is. It's 1.5 seconds. We'll keep an eye on that as these two. Now, these two are beginning to slow one another down, aren't they? Because they are going to start losing ground to that 3rd place Arthur Rhodes.
Yeah, Arthur Bowers in 2nd place. Looks to be, for me, to have maybe a little bit extra in terms of pace at the moment than Oliver Woodall. And as you say, but Woodall certainly had enough to find a way through on the 99 of Bowers.
Yeah, and Bowers is just beginning to drop off his rear bumper slightly now. Now he comes back towards him. We saw We saw Bowers leading for a little bit there, and it was at this point here that the number 5, Oliver Woodall, came back at him. Behind these two, Arthur Rhodes, back with the two Arthurs here, isn't it? Arthur Rhodes is the Kart in third behind these two, and he's just beginning to break away from the Karts behind him. So a lonely third place for Arthur Rhodes before we then get J.J. Williams and Junior Wright. But these two are absolutely glued together, and here we get a move for the lead down the inside into turn 1. Now that's a flat out turn on these Mighties. Absolutely flat chat, no speed difference whatsoever.
Great move, and in working together on that previous lap, they were half a second quicker than Arthur Rhodes, who matched them on the previous lap, but they're half a second quicker. It was a superb move by Arthur Bowers, who I was lucky enough to interview earlier. The happiest, smiliest kid in this paddock is Arthur Bowers, and you'll be able to catch that tomorrow during our lunch break, along with other interviews that we carried out earlier on today on Karting Live TV.
Let's see just if he remains smiling as this battle now has kind of settled down a little bit. There's nobody looking that threatening, with the number 5, Oliver Woodall, focusing on the rear end of that 99. His teammate Bowers leading this race with 90 seconds on the clock. They're lapping in 1 minute 10s, so still time for another 2 laps after this one. They cross the line now, so this one and 2 more as we get another run down the inside and a change for first place into turn 1.
Great move. This time it's Oliver Woodall returning the favour on Arthur Bowers, almost a carbon copy of the move that was pulled on him a lap or so ago. And Oliver Woodall now leads then from Arthur Bowers as they run down the middle straight here towards Senna 1. We've focused primarily on Mighty as we focused on Coma in the first heat, but just a quick shout out to Hendrix Fallat, who's leading the Coma race by 3.5 seconds. He's gapped the field, disappeared and checked out after a difficult heat number 1 for Hendrix Fallat, which saw him tipped into a spin. He's made amends in heat number 2.
Meanwhile, the Mighty battle rages on with the RCE teammates. They've now gone back to Oliver Woodall leading as he took the lead at that turn number 1. It will be the penultimate lap that these drivers will head into now with 20 seconds on the clock. Remember, that's not really governed by the fact that the petrol engine karts are ahead of them. And here we go again. It's kind of synchronised driving and a little bit more aggressive defending there from the number 5 of Oliver Woodall there, but he succumbs to the advances of the number 99 Arthur Bowers and lets his teammate in again. We've seen these two pass here many times, David, but this one, I'm not sure the number 5 was kind of too accommodating there. He came together and then he realised his teammate was on his inside.
Yeah, he defended too late. But as we cut back to the action, Oliver Woodall is back in front of Arthur Bowers as they swap positions once again, and they're going to run side by side. There's a little bit of contact between the two of them into the Dunlop chicane. Woodall comes out still in front of Arthur Bowers. They will be greeted by the last lap board when they come round, because Hendrix Fallat in the Coma Bambino class, who went off at the front, has already tripped the timing line to commence the final lap of this race.
Now going into this final lap, that is the biggest gap we've seen between these two RCE drivers. Out and across the line there, 1 lap to go board being shown. And can Bowers come back towards defensive line from Woodall there, takes the inside line.
Smart move, but it will ruin his sort of speed compared to normal by taking that tighter line, and it has allowed Arthur Bowers to close up once again.
Yeah, Bowers now, we've got a battle, haven't we? Tail, nose to tail, and down the inside has gone Bowers. They're side by side through St John's. They stay side by side towards the first of the Sennas. It's the number 5 that wins out there. And the cards have been shown from these youngsters. Remember, these are 6 to 8 years old, these drivers. And they race absolutely like they've been racing in Formula 1 for 10 years. Great racing in the Mighty field. As we get the C50 checkered flag fly, we remain with the Mighty battle and to the Gasworks hairpin, where side-by-side action once again. And was that under yellow?
I think it was.
Was that move under yellow?
I think it was. They've fallen back into line, though, so no harm done, no position gained. But as Joe rightly pointed out, there was a stationary car. Now there's contact between the two of them into the paddock bend as well. Woodall not happy. Bowers will take the victory on track. We'll see how that goes. At least we don't have to make a call on it, Joe. We just get to talk about it.
Yeah, we just get to talk about it. Again, provisional results are being called as the karts come across the line. The C50 Bambinos, Hendricks Follett first, Calman Simon second. Hendricks Follett first, Calman Simon second, Raythorne third, Jensen O'Connor fourth, Benjamin Shivar next, Tommy Lovejoy, Lanny Eden, Isaac Young, Alfie Ward and Oliver Bullock. The Might E race finished on the road. Arthur Bowers, Oliver Woodall, Arthur Rhodes, Heath Smith, JJ Williams, Ethan Hume, Junior Wright, Freddie Dye, Arthur Thompson, Noah Brad and Ava Garrett rounding off the Might E field.
Circuit is clear already, and next up we've got Honda Cadet waiting to go out. And if it's anything like heat number one, it's going to be all action in this class. Ronnie Smart, we take the positions from qualifying, not from where we finished in heat number one. It's not start where you finish, it's start where you qualify. So once again, it'll be Ronnie Smart on the front row, Elliot Bourke alongside Joe in what's going to promise to be anyone in the top 10 could win it type of race.
Honda Cadet, David, is the gift that keeps on giving, in my view, when it comes to karting. They are really, really close, these drivers. Ronnie Smart, as you mentioned there, only 600ths of a second ahead of Elliot Bourke alongside him. Archie Loveridge, Shailen Cantan, yeah, have I said that right? Yes, I think I have. Jack Wykes and Noah Clare on the third row. Dexter Petty and Ricky Jr. McIntosh on row 4. Riley Blakemore and Ashton Horspool on row 5. We've then got Noah Clark and Archie Cannon. Tom Nichols will line up alongside Mason Becker, with Edward Rye and Jane Prakash rounding off top the row 8, I should say. Row 9 is Jaden Patel Scott and Dino Rowlands. Ethan Pearson and Jerry Dufficy, with Reggie Dufficy rounding off the 21 kart field. Honda Cadet 200s are the class that's out next. Now, these are a sealed engine, aren't they? They are sealed by the manufacturer, so there are no shenanigans with tampering, and it's, of course, a standing start.
It is. What that does do is it makes super close racing.
Yeah.
You know, we saw in qualifying, I think the top 16 split by less than a second, the top 4 by a tenth, including 2 drivers on exactly the same time in Archie Loveridge and Shailen Screeton in 3rd and 4th place with 58.01s respectively for the two of them. Noah Clark with a very slow rolling up lap here. It clearly wants the leaders to sit and wait and have that nervous wait as everybody rolls into position. That's Ronnie Smart on the left in the Project 1 livery. Elliot Bourke for Zipkart alongside him. And then on the second row, we've got Zip on one side and Project 1 on the other again. And it's the field.
The giants of Honda Cadet Racing.
Yes,
Project 1 and Zip. And it's great. Again, inter-team battles are just as much fun to talk about as inter-driver rivalry. Here we go then. It's a standing start. The lights go on. The lights will go off and we are racing. And it's the Zip driver who gets ahead there. But then the Project 1 kart bursts into life as Ronnie Smart does it. It's like he grabs second or third gear and the engine just kicks in that mid-range.
Elliot Bourke just tried to come across, so much so that I think it ruined his own start. He's probably driven 4 or 5 extra metres compared to everybody else. Noah Clare with a good start on the opening lap. Jack Wykes is up into 4th place, and that's Ricky McIntosh in the black helmet down the inside of Elliot Bourke, who went off the outside of the front row and will come out of this in 6th or 7th place. He's back down the inside of Ricky McIntosh, and that's opened the door up for what looks to be Riley Blakemore to come through. It is in front now of Ricky McIntosh, and then in the green helmet, that looks like it could be anybody. I've lost who it was.
Very, very, very un-Honda Cadet-like is that lead battle there, just breaking away from the rest of the field. However, just wait a few minutes, wait 30 seconds or so, and we've got that third place Kart that will be on to the back end of the driver in second. So Ronnie Smart, Archie Loveridge, Noah Clare is the driver there that we're looking at in third place, with Elliot Bork next, Jack White, Riley Blakemore, Ricky J. McIntosh, Shailen Srikantan, Noah Clark and Dexter Petty are the top 10 drivers there. But once again, we see this train of Honda cadets, and if these drivers work together, they will catch those two ahead.
Yeah, they absolutely will. The problem they've got at the moment is there's just so many of them that all it's going to take is if one driver decides to turn this into a battle, they all have to battle.
Yeah,
and that's the problem with running in this pack, is everybody has to be on the same page, on the same wavelength, to try and close up at the front. Ronnie Smart leading from Archie Loveridge, Noah Clare with that great start that saw him jump up from 5th place into 3rd. Elliot Burke with the opposite story, saw him drop from 2nd down into 6th. He's now trying to come back into it, currently in P4, but this train goes all the way down. There is a little bit of a gap further back, but it's so deep, this one.
They're not catching the leaders though. Ronnie Smart's gone out. He's got just over half a second on Archie Loveridge, who's got a full second on over this third place battle here. They're not challenging one another. They're not trying to overtake one another. They seem to be working together. And as I say that, down the inside has gone Elliot Bork on Noah Clark, and this is what will stifle them and allow Ronnie Smart and Archie Loveridge to even increase that gap for more than a second. We've got place changes all the way through this train, David.
Riley Blakemore there, yeah. And down the inside of Jack White, having seen Elliot Bork do the same to Noah Clare in front of him. That's Dexter Petty there in the background. He's down the inside of Shailen Srikantan in 8th place. So Petty up, and that's Blakemore with another overtake in the middle of the horseshoe. This time on Jack White for 5th place. Riley Blakemore in the 68. But look at that, noses bouncing up and down. Could that be a front fairing issue?
It looks very loose on the number. What number is
68,
he? 68, doesn't he? Blakemore there on the blue and white Kart there. He's now nestling onto the rear bumper of Elliot Burke. Elliot Burke, the yellow and black liveried. Oh, look at that helmet design there. Is that flames coming off the visor there? That's a great design. He's under a massive amount of pressure as Elliot Burke. He's not going to have. Yeah, it is. It looks like flames coming off the visor. Brilliant design. He's got his attention is completely being overwhelmed somewhat by this kart here, the blue and white kart, moving down his inside and taking that third place. As Riley Blakemore says, right, I'm going to catch Archie Loveridge, the kart ahead of you. You're letting them get away. And if these guys would settle down, David, they might find they close that gap. Let's see what the gap is, by the way. It's 1.2. It was a second a couple of laps ago. It's now 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, the gap going out. Edward Rye, the fastest driver on the track, in 13th place in the 66 with a 57.74. That's 4/10 quicker than the leader for Edward Rye. The problem is he's on the back of a train from 3rd down to where he is in 13th place.
Incredible. And as ever, the Honda Cadet train continues, and Riley Blakemore there struggling with the grip coming out the second centre. Kart sliding all the way to the exit curb, and he's not pulling away from Elliot Burke. And if anything, Burke looking very racy on that zip kart, as down into that place behind him, Jack White has gone ahead of Noah Clare for 5th.
Great move by Jack White down the inside on the brakes, the two Project 1 runners, and now being pursued by the 16 of Dexter Petty, who's moved through the field towards the front and is moving down the inside. He's not going to like being squeezed by the 41, keeps his nose in, and then the 41 is tagged. He gets his front on the inside of Dexter Petty. So he's put the front down the inside of Petty on a return. He's loose. Then he's been contacted by the 44. And how he's held on to that I have no idea.
That was like sim racing, where you're sliding and then somebody hits the front end of your kart and knocks you into the right point in the right way.
But superb by Dexter Petty. He held on to that, was not having any of it in what is only his second race meeting at national level for Dexter Petty. He's on a bit of a run at the minute. He's just won the club championship at Wumwell, has Petty in the 16. They've made a slight setup change from what I've been told from Heat 1 to Heat 2, and it's clearly working for him. He's up into 7th place now and looks only to be going forwards.
He is. He's driving very, very well indeed. Meanwhile, at the front, Ronnie Smart and Archie Loveridge continue to lead. The gap was 1.2 seconds to third place Riley Blakemore. It's now 1.3, is it? Yes, it is. Yeah. 1.3. No, actually, it's come down. The gap is only 8 tenths.
Blakemore's taken a tenth out of Loveridge. Smart.
Yeah, it's 8 tenths. So Blakemore is catching Loveridge in second there.
Yes, he is. Everything's calmed down at the front, which is...
They've spaced out a bit, haven't they?
It's great for us because we can catch our breath after a frantic opening 5 or 6 minutes.
That was absolutely dramatic. Kart's being nudged and shoved back into the right direction. They have spaced out and they're not bumper to bumper, so that means they can just get on with the driving around the track. We're inside, we're getting very much inside towards the final minute as the sun beginnings to give us some beautiful lighting here.
Yeah, it's fantastic,
Warden
isn't
Law.
it?
That winter sun low in the sky. We're creating art here, Nick, aren't we? Right, we are indeed. That's the number 68 of Riley Blakemore, who we do not need a stopwatch, David, because that is him right there. He's got Archie Loveridge in his sight, and he's got the bit between his hand. And who's that coming?
He's dragging Jack Wykes along with him as well. So the invite was clearly bring a partner, because Riley Blakemore on the back of Archie Loveridge and is bringing Jack Wykes into the mix as well. Behind them, Elliot Bourke and Dexter Petty.
He hasn't just brought him. Jack Wykes has gone through. The black nose there, and now Blakemore comes back at him. So swapping places here, and there's the 13 getting involved. Jack Wykes down to, that's Elliot Bourke on the 73, is it?
No, that's Archie Loveridge, who was in second, is now down into third. Blakemore up into second.
How did he end up?
So, Loveridge was second. Blakemore goes down the inside of him.
Right, that's right. Yes, that's where the move came. At the Gasworks airpin now. Look, I look at the timing screen, I look up, and everything's changed.
Yeah, timer is down to 0, so we've got a lap and a half to go. Ronnie Smart with the lead, but this one's not over yet. Riley Blakemore is a man on a mission in this one, including the overtake on Loveridge. He was half a second quicker than the leader. Lap and a half to go, and Riley Blakemore is on a charge. Loveridge down into 4th place behind them. Wyke is through up into 3rd in the early part of this lap. Behind them, Elliot Bourke and Dexter Petty.
I tell you what, David, he's got a lot of pace here, and if that momentum if he can continue the momentum, I think he's got a great chance of getting past Ronnie Smart here. Here he is on his bumper into the final turn for the penultimate time.
Well, does Smart even know he's there? Because he's just he does now. We look over the shoulder, and it's a huge defend from Ronnie Smart. Blakemore's going to try and put himself in a Kart in a gap, and then goes wide at the first corner and is almost connected with by Jack Wykes. Riley Blakemore going in deep into that first corner.
That defensive line by Ronnie Smart stifled the momentum of Riley Blakemore. He had that momentum coming through the field, continuing to come through the field, and Smart having to defend into the first of the centres. If they're not careful, Jack Wykes, Archie Loveridge and Elliot Bourke are going to have a bit of this as well.
Don't think anybody's putting any money on this finishing in the same order.
Out onto the curving back straight. It'll be a defensive line we see from the leader down the inside of the corner, and a bit of bumperage going on into the gasworks, and Blakemore has gone through as Ronnie Smart went a little bit wide on the exit. Blakemore has gone through and will lead out of the final turn and towards the checkered flag. Riley Blakemore will take the win. It is Ronnie Smart in second, Archie Loveridge back through and into third, Jack Wykes 4th, Dexter Petty was next in 5th, Elliot Bourke, and look at this, and I'm not sure if there was contact there at all, David. I'm not sure if there was. We'll leave that certainly to the officials to work that one out, but it was certainly Riley Blakemore who took the checkered flag first, Ronnie Smart second, Archie Loveridge, Jack Wykes, Dexter Petty, Elliot Bourke, Ricky McIntosh, Noah Clare, Archie Cannon and Edward Rye was the top 10 rounder-upper, if you like. Yeah. There's the rest of the finishes there on the timing screen.
That was one of them moves for me that if you make it, you think it's brilliant, and if it happens to you, you feel a little bit aggrieved by it. So that's my parting comment on that one. We'll leave it to we'll leave it to the people that get paid to make the difficult decisions to figure it out.
We stay with cadets, this time cadets but with a different engine. We've just had Honda cadets, now we have the Micromax class out. We've got 12 Micromax karts out onto the track. These are Rotax engined karts, 125cc, water-cooled motors, and it's Lewis Kirkcaldy out on the pole position on the S-plate, denoting he is the Scottish champion, and he will lead the field around. It's a rolling start, though, for Micromax, not a standing start. And it'll be Alfie Garrett, who's alongside. Harris Barber and Ethan Lloyd are on row 2. Local lad Freddie Blackshaw alongside Carter Jackson on row 3. Zach Andrew and another local driver, Sebastian Crawford, share row 4. We then got Hamish Gordon, Noah Wicklow up from Bambinos earlier in the season, share row 5. And then rounding off the 12 kart field, Max Armit and Freddie Walker.
Field rolling round. Should have no excuses for not getting this one, because going at the first time of asking, the field is condensed enough for us to get this one going nicely as they round Marshall post 6, 7 and 8, which is where they'll be closing together under the yellow flag. Out of the final corner they come then into the tram lines. Kirkcaldy on the inside, who got jumped at the start last time. We're away and racing, and he's been jumped again at the start. The outside train once again of Lloyd in second place. It's Alfie Garrett who leads once again. So Garrett and Lloyd, the duo that led us away and to victory between the two of them in the first race, in the first instalment of Micromax, have done it again. They've made a great start. It's 1-2 for those two behind them.
What can Lewis Kirkcaldy do in that pole position? It seems to be that he seems kind of disadvantaged. Oh, and we've got a spinner there. That's the second place kart of Ethan Lloyd, I think.
Yes, it is.
As we have a look, they come out into the chicane there. The number 42, Alfie Garrett, leading. And then the number 66. Oh, and they got all messed up, didn't they?
Yeah, Garrett had a little bit of a slide, didn't he? And then into the side of him went Ethan Lloyd. And Ethan Lloyd will fall down the order into 12th position, I think. He'll be the last driver over the line. Alfie Garrett then leads from Lewis Kirkcaldy and Harris Barber. Sebastian Crawford with a solid opening lap up 3 places to run in P4. In front of Carter Jackson, Freddie Blackshaw and Zach Andrew, Hamish Gordon and Max Armit, Freddie Walker. Then it's Ethan Lloyd and Noah Wicklow, who looks like he's had a difficult opening lap as well. He's dropped down into P12 and is well off the back of the field at the moment.
Well, these Micromax cadets are relatively spaced out there. Certainly Alfie Garrett with a bit of a cushion there before we see the S-plate of Lewis Kirkcaldy. An even bigger gap to Harris Barber, and then an equal gap to Sebastian Crawford. Sebastian Crawford has Carter Jackson and Freddie Blackshaw not that far behind. Maybe, Nick, if we drop back to the 4th place kart there, that's the 77 of Carter Jackson. So the kart just ahead of him, that's the number 16. As we look towards Sebastian Crawford there on the 16 there, just leading this little battle there. That's Carter Jackson and Freddie Blackshaw. Freddie Blackshaw on the ST Racing livery kart. He looks very racy indeed, doesn't he? And if anything, Freddie Blackshaw lost out massively there at the start. He started way up the grid, but now trying to find a way by the number 77 of Carter Jackson. Yeah,
Jackson making that kart incredibly wide. It looked like a defensive line into Senna 1 for Carter Jackson. You do get the feeling here that if Blackshaw can find a way past the 77, he has got the pace to attack Sebastian Crawford. Well, we saw him in the first race going with Harris Barber, didn't we, who's currently running in 3rd place. So Freddie Blackshaw with what appears to be pace in reserve, but at the moment unable to use it in that 28. The blue and luminous yellow number 28 machine is out of the slipstream of the 77, but doesn't have enough at the end of the straight, Joe. He's got all the power out of the corner to pull out the slipstream, but just doesn't have it at the end of the straight. Back to the 2 leaders though. Lewis Kirkcaldy, fastest lap on the previous, is now closing in on this 42 of Alfie Garrett.
Yeah, we thought that would come, David. And Alfie Garrett, maybe he's controlling the pace a little bit. He doesn't really need to push massively at this stage. We are still a half a minute away from the half distance. However, if he's not careful, he's going to have Lewis Kirkcaldy breathing down his neck. And very shortly, as Kirkcaldy turns into the gasworks, he closes the gap there. You could clearly see that. Visibly, the gap disappeared there. And if Kirkcaldy, again, it's all about keeping that momentum. You close the gap, and if you can continue that momentum and just fire past the cart that you've caught, then that will be exactly what you want to happen. What you don't want to happen is that momentum then be stifled and you're struggling to get by, because making that move to get by the cart in front, and this is the situation that Lewis Kirkcaldy finds himself in now as he closes right onto the bumper through St John's, and it'll be down to where he can pass Garrett if indeed he can.
Thought he was going to be close enough for the move into centre one. Garrett goes wide and Kirkcaldy's going to look for a switchback, but I think Garrett has it scouted and forced him wide. Remember, in Heat 1, Garrett had Ethan Lloyd to help push him along, the two RCE drivers working well together to pull away from Lewis Kirkcaldy. This time, though, with Ethan Lloyd and Alfie Garrett, I wouldn't say coming together, but Garrett with the half spin in the Dunlop chicane, and Ethan Lloyd had really nowhere to go. There's no wingman this time for Alfie Garrett, no turbo to help him along as two carts work better than one. Now he's under intense pressure from Lewis Kirkcaldy, although I'll be honest with you, Kirkcaldy's cart looks very light on turning. Yeah,
it does. It looks like he's absolutely sort of just, it looks like he's sliding that cart around. He's still being very smooth because he's maintaining the pace. You saw on the previous lap, Kirkcaldy sort of, at this point here, he had the momentum to get alongside Garrett, but now that he's stuck behind Garrett, that momentum is stifled now. So he's got to make that lunge or that move, that outbraking manoeuvre to get by Garrett. And Garrett's really good on the brakes, we see there. He's not even having to defend there. Look how quick he is through that Gasworks hairpin. Leaning the cart there, leaning into the cart, away from the corner, just to put a bit of weight on that outside edge, I think. If he's even got a choice of where that centrifugal force is putting him. But if anything, this is where Kirkcaldy might be able to have a go as he got momentum. And the problem there, David, is there isn't really a breaking point there.
No,
because they're as quick through that turn one as they are on the straight.
Kirkcaldy pushing away. And as you say, the way that Alfie Garrett leans out of that cart, what he's doing there is, because it's a solid rear axle, no slip differential, the inside wheel goes a lot less distance than what the outside one does. So if you can lean out and lift that inside up, the outside rotates a lot quicker. You can go round the corner without the inside trying to push the rear wheel out wide.
Well, what happens, because of the solid rear axle, the inside tyre going around a smaller arc, that axle, under microscopic conditions, actually twists on itself and it stifles the motor. If you can release that inside wheel, it helps the motor pick up, and the motor's not fighting against the axle twist, which is why in all of these straight solid axle classes of karting is what you see, and why the drivers get the inside wheel to lift.
Kirkcaldy not close enough to consider a move this time on Alfie Garrett as they run around the corners of turn one, Brian's Bend, and into the dog leg, using that curb on the outside where you just go up and over it as if it's part of the track, because that's the fastest way round. And Alfie Garrett seems to be fairly settled now, and what I've noticed is, in particular, he's tidied up centre one. There was 2 laps in succession earlier on where he clipped the curb on the inside and unsettled the car, allowed Lewis Kirkcaldy to come at him at centre two, and that is a curb that you get nothing from clipping it on the inside. He's tidied up centre one, and what that's done now is it's sort of opened up that gap through sector 2 and 3 to Lewis Kirkcaldy, and it looks like Alfie Garrett now is moving away.
And we've got a change for third, that time by Sebastian Crawford in third and ahead of Harris Barber. We'll see if that stayed the same. I think it has as they cross the line. They're about 4.5 seconds behind, and there's a train of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carts
Ethan
battling for third. Here they come into the dog leg. That's Crawford in the black and white cart there, and then the Tony cart of Harris Barber falling behind.
He's got a problem.
He has. He's got a problem.
He's got a problem.
Yeah, Freddie Blackshaw just whizzed by him into St John's, but Barber coming back at the ST Racing driver. The Tony cart there, the green and white cart of Harris Barber. Struggling, is he?
It looked like he had issues with low-end pickup, just coming out the corner, just didn't have any power. out of the dog leg. He's falling back.
He's fallen back massively to
Yeah.
Sebastian Crawford. Crawford just checked out. And there's a move down the inside of the 77 as Ethan Lloyd begins and continues that recovery drive. He's the orange and black kart there with the blue helmet. That's the driver that we saw spin off at the chicane on lap 1.
Barber set a personal best on the previous lap, but is certainly having a few issues at the moment because, as you say, Crawford got through and gapped him to the tune of nearly well over a second.
Yeah, interesting as well. Freddie Blackshaw looking like he's been held up by Harris Barber, and if Blackshaw in that yellow kart there is not careful, the orange kart behind him of Ethan Lloyd is going to continue on that recovery drive. We're on the final lap, by the way. Alfie Garrett and Lewis Kirkcaldy. Alfie Garrett getting a bit of a cushion there of 0.3. That's perhaps the biggest we've seen. They're just ahead of Sebastian Crawford, who's not, if anything, Crawford catching the two karts ahead of him. Meanwhile, the number 42 here, Alfie Garrett with Lewis Kirkcaldy into the final turn. And it will be a fine win indeed for Heat 2 for Micromax for Alfie Garrett. Lewis Kirkcaldy there. The chasing Sebastian Crawford finishes in second. And then we had a 3-wide finish at the flag there for 4th, 5th and 6th. And it was Harris Barber by 0.03 of a second from Freddie Blackshaw. From Ethan Lloyd. And then Freddie Blackshaw a further 0.12 of a second behind in 6th. So that's Garrett Kirkcaldy, Sebastian Crawford 3rd, Harris Barber, Ethan Lloyd and Freddie Blackshaw literally side by side, with Carter Jackson getting involved as well for 7th. Hamish Gordon was 8th, Noel Wicklow 9th, Zach Andrew 10th, and then we had Max Armott and Freddie Walker rounding off the 12 kart field.
Just having a quick look into the live chat. Someone's asked when Junior Road Tax is on. Well, sit tight. We've got Intermax up next. Then it's Junior Road Tax Heat 3. That's Group B versus C. Junior Road Tax Primo. And then the day will be rounded out here by Senior Road Tax Heat number 2. But don't worry. We'll be back tomorrow morning to do it all over again.
Yeah, not quite finished yet, David. We've still got a bit of racing to go, and we've got a lot of racing to go when you consider what's out next. Intermax. That man, Max Jolly, who was the winner of Heat 1. It was a very dramatic Heat 1, wasn't it, with all sorts of things happening, with penalties for jumped starts and the like. That was Leo Livings who had a jumped start in the first heat. We'll see if he can get it right this time. He starts alongside Max Jolly at the front of the field. Ryan White and Oliver Barton are on the second row, with Oscar Roach and Jackson Hilton on row 3. Then we've got Soren Gallagher and Thomas Jackson on row 4. Lewis Stewart and Logan Stanley Jones are on row 5. Blair Smith and Hugo McCluskey 6. Ella Dixon and Eli Rideout are on row 7. And then rounding off 16 karts into Max Field is Hakeem Batt and Adam Batt.
So Leo Livings, who won the race on the track but was demoted to P5. Let's see whether he can do it all over again.
Here they come across the start to take the beginning of this race, and it is a start indeed. And side by side for Max Jolly, it's Leo Livings losing out there, having to go around the inside. That's allowed Ryan White into second, and now we've got a race, haven't we?
Yeah, Max Jolly from Ryan White and Leo Livings. Oscar Roach is up into 4th place at the start. Oliver Barton falls down a place, and Leo Livings wastes no time in retaking the second place berth away from Ryan White. White then drops down into 3rd. He's immediately under pressure from Oscar Roach in the 196 in the predominantly pink suit.
Yeah, Oscar Roach there just giving Ryan a little bit of an encouraging nudge there to get on it. There's a move down the inside of, I think Roach was caught napping there. And I'm not quite sure who that was that came down either side of him.
That was Oliver Barton from a million miles back.
It really was, wasn't it? Absolutely. Meanwhile, Max Jolly and Leo Livings lead. Ryan White stays in 3rd. Oliver Barton, Oscar Roach, Soren Gallagher was one of those drivers involved. Thomas Jackson, Blair Smith up 3 places to 8th there. That's Lewis Stewart in 9th, and Jackson Hilton's lost 4 places there and drops to 10th spot.
Leo Livings looks to be on a bit of a mission here, Joe, because immediately past Ryan White on the opening lap to retake second place, is wasting no time in towing up onto the back of the 114 of Max Jolly in the colours of Hunter Motorsport as they run up towards the gasworks hairpin. I do get the feeling, though, Livings is going to have a couple of laps of trying to push Jolly away so that they don't invite Ryan White back into this one.
Yeah, now remember, Leo Livings did the job on Max Jolly on the last lap. It meant nothing because of that 5-second penalty. It means everything now. There's no penalties involved at all with this one. This is a straightforward race for the lead. It's Hunter Motorsports, Max Jolly and Synergy's Leo Livings duking it out. Very early stages though, David, 6 minutes remaining. And whether or not these drivers are, we're seeing what we usually see with youngsters managing their pace together and trying to gap themselves to who at the moment is Ryan White in that third spot.
Yeah, such is the pace of Leo Livings, particularly at the start, having the confidence to dive down the inside on lap number 1. Could he have gone a little bit higher on tyre pressures? It's a lot cooler now than what it was when these drivers were last out on track. And I know that makes a big difference, particularly in getting the tyres up to temperature early on. It could, though, send them over a cliff later on. Them tyres could go off, but at the minute, Leo Livings charging onto the back of Max Jolly. He sets the fastest lap of the race, does Livings, but he's not close enough.
Yeah, no scores bouncing around on Max Jolly's car. That's nothing to be perturbed, as they are mounted quite sort of loosely on rubber, so that they do take up the vibration. He is certainly comfortable. Max Jolly very, very comfortable at the head of any kind of field of Intermax karts. He has just moved up from Micromax, hasn't he, as Max?
Yeah.
And still got a lot of experience, certainly in this position of leading a race. However, likewise as Leo Livings. He's got a strong team behind him in the form of the Synergy team. They are very, very adept at putting out and bringing youngsters on in this sport, as these two absolutely duking it out. Meanwhile, behind him, Ryan White, who's in a bit of a lonely spot there. He's got about just over a second gap to Leo Livings, but he's got just under 0.8 of a second to Oliver Barton. Behind Barton, half a second to Oscar Roach, 0.4 of a second to Soren Gallagher, and then just under 0.8 to Lewis Stewart in 7th. So a bit of a spaced out Intermax heat number 2 for these drivers.
Yeah, certainly is. Leo Livings, who probably one of the best overtakes I've ever seen from a driver was Leo Livings on his gear-up teammate at the time, George Schweier at Landau in 2023. A superb move into the final corner on the final lap of the final to win the race. From around about 4 kart lengths back, Leo Livings. So he's a driver that certainly knows how to get the job done when it comes to making an overtake. At the minute, I feel that he's biding his time somewhat. You
kind of get that feeling, don't you? We're inside of 3.5 minutes, so still a chunk of time for these youngsters, sort of matching each other in where they place the kart on the track there. Literally in the wheel tracks of Max Jolly is Leo Livings. Ryan White trying to find something, the Project One driver, just trying to find something in the toolkit to get himself on terms to those drivers ahead of him. Not finding it quite yet, and if he's not careful, Ryan White being caught very, very slightly by Oliver Barton, about a 10th, I think, in that lap there. But I think you called it, David. The question is, Leo Livings, is he playing a waiting game, or are we actually seeing these drivers absolutely flat chat? Leo Livings doing all he can to stay on terms. The slipstream coming into play, though, as they go into turn 1, and Leo Livings answering David Sullivan's question there.
For me now, for Max Jolly, and I know this isn't the racing driver's psyche nor mentality, just sit behind Leo Livings now. You've already won one race. A first and a second puts you on pole position for tomorrow's superheat. Leo Livings, who won the race on track but then dropped down the order with that 5-second jump start penalty. So for me now, Max Jolly doesn't need to take any unnecessary risks. I know it's not going to make for an exciting 2 minutes, but for me, sit on the rear bumper, push away.
Jolly's very, very composed. I've never ever seen Max kind of make sort of do or die moves. He's very, very composed, and if he can make a move, he will make the move, but he's not going to risk anything. He's very clever for a young man.
And there we go.
And that was clean, though, wasn't it? You know, it was all about momentum, and he will make that move if that's available to him, but we're not going to see any shenanigans, I don't think.
Got behind Leo Livings, had a long look over his shoulder to make sure that he wasn't going to impede himself with another driver coming through if it didn't quite work out. Moved out of the slipstream of Leo Livings and down the inside into turn 1 to retake the lead.
Now then, Leo Livings will be just shaping himself up. He needs to stay in the wheel tracks of Jolly here, out onto the back straight, heading down towards the gasworks. No need to make a move there. Let's optimise the line through there. This is where Livings needs to stay with him. It's through the sweeping left-hander. That is the horseshoe there, never ending. Now this is the important one. Livings bursts out of the final turn into the slipstream. He's going to pull Max Jolly in, and he stays behind him there. And you just saw the difference there. He wasn't on his bumper as they came out onto the straight, and the slipstream dragged him up to the bumper of Jolly. Not enough to get past, but he's quite happy. He's quite happy because the timing needs to be right going into the final lap.
Yeah, you're quite right. Wasn't quite close enough round the final corner at Paddock Bend was Leo Livings, but last time round on the final lap it was into the gasworks hairpin that he made the move. Still don't think he's quite close enough at the moment. Joe Max Jolly appears to have found the second gear, and maybe we were right in terms of tyre pressures for Leo Livings. That 1 or 2 psi higher to get him into position early on might now be going against him.
Yeah, Max Jolly will see the 1 lap to go board as he crosses the line now. Last lap illuminated on the timing board there. And Max Jolly's pulled a little bit out of somewhere. He's had something in his toolkit that he's pulled out of his back pocket, and he's just given himself a cushion. And we've not seen Leo Livings make a move anywhere other than at the end of the main straight here, certainly in this heat. So whether or not he can, he's certainly there, isn't he? The momentum bringing him alongside the rear axle of Jolly. Jolly knows exactly where Livings is, and this is where, if anything, Max is going to have to defend.
Yeah, Jolly parking the Kart well thus far on this final lap, does exactly the same into gasworks. Livings trying the switch back, but the door firmly closed by Max Jolly, who spent half of this final lap looking back at Leo Livings in order to park that 114 Hunter Motorsport machine exactly where he needs to. He's done it textbook as Max Jolly wins the second heat from Leo Livings.
Pole position for Max Jolly, certainly in tomorrow's superheat, as the rest of the field come through. It was a hard-fought battle that Max Jolly takes the win. Leo Livings, a fighting second, very much bodes very well for tomorrow's trophy hunting, doesn't it? Ryan White, a solid and lonely third place behind them. Oliver Barton chasing down Ryan White all the way at the very end there in fourth. Oscar Roach fifth. Soren Gallagher sixth. Lewis Stewart seventh. Thomas Jackson eighth. Blair Smith ninth. Then we had Jackson Hilton rounding off the top 10. Just outside that, we've got Hugo McCluskey, Logan Stanley Jones, Ella Dixon, Eli Rideout, Hakeem Batt and Adam Batt round off the 16 Kart field.
So as the final runner, Adam Batt makes his way back into the pit lane. We can see the final instalment today of Junior Rotax. It's Heat B versus C. And it's Lewis Subner in the 238 on the TB chassis for X-Kart, who will go off pole position. Zane Kuwaker, who had a good run in his first heat until it all came to a disappointing end on the grass on the outside of Senna 1. We'll start this one once again from the outside of the front row. Alex Goodson and Oakley Garthwaite on row number 2. Harry Freeman and Riley Bishop on row 3 in front of Jensen Pritchard and Ewan House. The top 10 completed by Hasnan Khan and ST Racing's Charlie Vary. Then it's Jensen Chalk in 11th, Charlie Benson in 12th, Lloyd Palmer and Marcel Popperculler on row number 7, Scott McDowell and James Kell on row number 8. Row 9, Oliver Cabricius and Gregor Reed, Maya Simpson and Alfie Lambert in 19th and 20th respectively, in front of Elliot Surtees and Bella Brown. Then it's Lewis Holt and Oliver White, Finlay Smith and Melissa Adrian, Kieran Stewart and Logan Lauder in front of Matt Scott and Mark Arthur. The field completed by Emma Leckie and Tyler Richardson.
Well, here we go. Junior Rotax, always full of drama and intensity. And this is bound to give us exactly what we ordered, David. They've been very entertaining so far. Lots of drama and intensity, certainly in the previous heats. Well, certainly at the start of the previous Junior Rotax heat, we couldn't get them off the grid because of that intensity. The drivers just just eager to get on with it. Let's see if this batch of junior drivers can do it. We're still well strung out. Whether or not we'll get, I think we'll probably get another time by, actually. We are formed up by the time they get to the final turn there.
It's whether they power down too early, which was always the problem earlier on.
I'll be amazed if they let them go.
Is the problem again.
Race director Dan Ashton's pet hate, having been in the box there with Dan at some Warden Law events, his pet hate is for the drivers to accelerate too early. We saw that with the two drivers at the front of the previous heat. We're seeing that right now. Lewis Sumner and Zane Quaker doing exactly the same as we've seen, to the chagrin of Dan Ashton.
Well, Quaker was one of the two drivers that was given a penalty for failing to obey start signals. It didn't matter in the end, unfortunately, for the driver of the 222, who goes off the outside of the front row once again as he retired from his first heat number 2 for our junior Rotax, as it's a two-thirds format. We have 3 heats, of which our drivers take part in 2 of them. So this time round they have to maintain that pace a little bit slower.
We've got some bright green karts there, bright green liveried karts. They're the TB kart. They are with the X-Kart team, X-Kart being the UK distributor for the TB kart. Now, the TB kart is not an OTK brand, is it? It's a completely different manufacturer. You get a lot of differently, the Lando kart, the Carlos Sainz kart, the Tony kart, of course. But more of that later, as we hopefully will get things underway. And who is that sneaking into the lead of this race?
Quaker
is that
leads.
Quaker?
Yeah, Quaker leads. Garthwaite looks like he's up into second. Is it? No, it's Alex Goodson with a good start.
Cracking start to his junior Rotax journey. Alex in only his second heat in junior Rotax, and showing that he's very much at ease at the wheel of this faster kart there. The orange helmet, Charlotte Goodson watching in from her uni digs in Reading, Charlotte being Alex's sister, as Quaker being chased down now. Look how close they are. It's the 2 TB karts in 3rd and 4th. We'll get an idea of who they are when they come by and click by the timing beam as they come out of the final turn there and head across the line. It's the number 222 of Zane Quaker. Alex Goodson second, Lewis Sumner and Riley Bishop are in 3rd and 4th, and that's Oakley Garthwaite with Jensen Pritchard not far behind Garthwaite as well.
Yeah, that's correct. Timing in the box is not, and on the screen actually, is not 100% working. It's not adding laps, but Emma Leckie shows the leader, but she's in front of us, putting a new spark plug in the 294 kart. They had a problem and all plug up on the rolling up lap. But it's Zane Quaker leading then from Alex Goodson, and it's the duo of TB karts of Lewis Sumner and Riley Bishop.
Here we go then. It'll be 2 laps completed now, and Zane Quaker, relatively comfortable leads over Alex Goodson. I say comfortable. Alex Goodson chasing him down now. A little bit of management coming in. These guys are flat out on these junior Rotax karts. Into turn 1 then for the second time. Sveker, Goodson, Sumner, Bishop, Oakley Garthwaite, Jensen Pritchard, Hasnan Khan, another driver in 7th place there, who's making his junior Rotax debut. And it's only Hasnan Khan's first ever day in a Rotax kart, and that's him there just on the back end of this train, and he's really getting mucked in, isn't he?
Yeah, one practice this morning before qualifying, and he is...
I think he qualified 7th or something. Brilliant. Well, he was very good on an Intermax kart, but he's really loving this faster kart there, and a duck to water is the term that comes to mind. That's the bright yellow helmet just at the back end of this train. And that's the train for the lead, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah, he's on the tail of that. There he is, that bright yellow helmet. As there's a radiator flap adjustment in 4th place for Bishop. In front of him, though, down the inside for 2nd place. On Alex Goodson goes Lewis Sumner with a great move into turn 1.
Now, this is where the experience of the faster junior Rotax karts will come in. Alex Goodson, we've mentioned, in his first weekend and being mugged somewhat by the TB karts and being mugged by his Origin teammate as well, as Oakley Garthwaite has taken advantage of, and that was nothing to do with Alex. Alex was just put out of position there totally lost the momentum by having to make way for those two bright green TB karts. And Oakley Garthwaite, no prisoners taken, as Asnan Khan for Hunter Motorsport through on Alex Goodson as well. So Alex has had a nightmare fourth lap here, and we'll find him dropping down the order there, and that was all about losing that momentum, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just didn't quite work out for Alex Goodson, and one bad corner for him became 2, became 3. Unfortunately, he drops down into 6th place, but he's still in the mix at the front of this one as the train goes all the way down to Jensen Pritchard. In fact, Harry Freeman as well there in 8th place. Out of shot, and then appearing all of a sudden is Oakley Garthwaite.
Where did he come from? He looked like he was shot out of a cannon there down into the first of the centres. Here comes Asnan Khan in that bright yellow helmet as well. He's going to have a go at the X-Kart driver as well. Riley Bishop heads up driving from Asnan Khan. He gets onto the tail of his old Hunter Motorsport teammate in the form of Oakley Garthwaite, now with Origin Motorsport. It's the inter-team rivalry there in the northeast that's coming into play in Junior Rotax. Meanwhile, Zane Quaker is absolutely being able to take full advantage of this, is Zane, and he's off and away and building a gap as best he can.
So are Origin running, are they on the Carlos Sainz chassis? It looks black, so that's why I'm asking.
Oh, I'm not sure. It's a good question.
Yeah,
we'll
find out. Obviously, I know that they are somewhat out of a few drivers out of Hunter Motorsport going to Origin Motorsport, and Hunter being the importer for the Carlos Sainz CS55 chassis.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That could be a good call, actually. Into the gasworks, and this is a really cracking battle. The team battle being led by Ultimate R at the moment, though, with Zane Quaker leading, Lewis Sumner for X-Kart second, and then that's the battle there for third. Oakley Garthwaite, Asnan Khan, Riley Bishop, Jensen Pritchard and Alex Goodson have swapped positions as well, as Khan looking very racy indeed, doesn't he? He looks like he's about to have a go at Oakley Garthwaite. Now, we know how quick Garthwaite is around here on a Junior Rotax. Asnan Khan new to the Junior Rotax, however, Asnan Khan knows this place like the back of his hand, and Asnan just getting to grips with the different vagaries of performance in the Junior Kart, which is more grip and more power, which I'm pretty sure he'll be is adapting to very readily.
And remembering that the rear end of your kart is a lot wider than what it used to be down the
inside.
Down
the inside. That's, you know what, that is brave. That is brave, because you are going into that corner massively quick, and Garthwaite losing out as well to the X-Kart driver. Who is that? Bishop, isn't it? Yes, it is.
Riley Bishop,
so
taking
Bishop's back up
as well. Asnan Khan in what Joe tells me is his first weekend in a Junior Rotax.
First day.
I don't believe that 1 minute. He's driving this like he's done it all season. Asnan Khan in the 218 there in the bright yellow helmet, clearly lying to make friends when it comes to telling us that he's never been in a Junior Rotax before.
I
know it is, but I don't believe it.
I know.
I can't believe it.
It's hard to believe. He looks very, very at ease there. Not only has he passed other drivers, but he's now catching the two leaders. And that's Riley Bishop hanging on to that rear bumper of Asnan Khan. Lewis Sumner is the green kart ahead, and then the Origin white kart, the Ultimate R of Zane Quaker. He's having a great drive here. He's just having a ball, just being able to have his own race, stay ahead, keep on the pace, yes. But here they come. Here's Asnan Khan coming, and he's bringing Riley Bishop with him.
4 different teams in the top 5 places, and more to contend with for the leaders as well, because Emma Leckie, who came into the pits and had a spark plug change and went back out on track, is being caught by the leaders. Lack traffic to contend with potentially for the top 5. Behind them there's another train of 5 that are going toe to toe now. They've fallen away, but it's everybody down from Goodson to Poppicle are going toe to toe for 6th down to 10th. You'll see them in a minute, but in the background they're just all squabbling as well.
I think that's Emma pulling off quite sensibly, pulling off, not wanting to play a part. The leaders are coming together. It's going to be 2 more laps. The 222 of Zane Quaker leads, but the gap has gone down to 0.3 of a second to Lewis Sumner. Lewis Sumner has got half a second on Asnan Khan. 0.3 of a second. It's not even worth mentioning is the gap between Khan and Bishop there. That's the lead battle. They're all coming together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 karts now.
Sumner's going to really benefit now, particularly down the back straight, from a little bit of slipstream from Zane Kuwaker in front. I don't know whether Kuwaker's going to feel the need that he's going to have to defend. Certainly not this time into Gasworks, but the top 5 nose to tail. 1 lap to go in Junior Rotax Heat 3.
Here we go. Who could have asked? This is a grandstand finish. I know you've got to be a certain age to even understand what that means, but it's a grandstand finish to this second heat for Junior Rotax. Here they come into the first turn for the final time then. Quaker, Sumner on the bright green kart there. They're into the dogleg section here. They'll use all of that exit curve. Clatter across the curb. Khan gaining ground on Sumner. And if anything, Khan in that orange, blue and black livery of Hunter Motorsport is going to look very racy indeed on the rear end of Lewis Sumner as they come out of the second centre. Time and opportunity running out for Khan in third. Out onto the back straight there. The bright yellow helmet of Khan. He's just dropped a little bit off the back of Sumner. And is it going to finish like this, David, as they've got the horseshoe and the final turn left?
I think it might do, unless someone's going to make a late move down the inside into Paddock Bend that nobody does. And it's as you were at the end. Zane Kuwaker takes the victory from Lewis Sumner. A superb drive from Hasnan Khan up into third for Riley Bishop and Oakley Garthwaite. Alex Goodson, who started well but fell down into P6, holds on for that position in front of Harry Freeman, Jensen Pritchard and Marcel Popical. The top 10 completed by Ewan House.
That was cracking, wasn't it? That was a really, really good race, that. And that when all of the groups come together in the fastest of all 3 groups, because we were missing some of the faster runners there.
Yeah.
We're missing Daniel Minto. Who else have I missed out? I can't remember, but you know what I mean. It bodes very, very well indeed. We have got, how many heats have we got left?
2 more today.
2 more, is that all?
Yeah.
Wow, we're whizzing through them, aren't we?
Yes.
So Junior Primo and Senior Rotax coming next. Joseph Mills, he is the man to beat, isn't he? On the number 90, Joseph Mills. He absolutely dominated the first heat. He started out with True Performance Motorsport and he switched recently to the Origin Motorsport team. And he was very, very quick at the Wilton Mill round when he was with True Performance. He continues in that vein. Hard to believe that Joseph is still a novice driver. Hardly any experience other than I think his dad was telling me some higher kart stuff here at Karting North East. Thomas Harper, you know about Thomas Harper. He's just come out of cadets as well, hasn't he?
Thomas Harper, who's had a bit of time in cadets, has raced Tillotson, has attended the Nations Cup for the last 2 years as Thomas Harper in the Tillotson T4 Nations Cup. A bit of a shout out actually, because Thomas and his dad allowed my lad to race their Tillotson Junior at Shennington a few weeks back. My lad's first opportunity to race in a junior chassis. I think he did well for himself actually that weekend. There was 8 runners. Heat number 2, he went from 8th up to 2nd and then made a bit of a mistake. But against drivers that were 15 and 16 for a lad that was 2 weeks after his 12th birthday, I think he acquitted himself very, very well to junior chassis.
Yeah, pretty good.
So thank you to Thomas Harper and his dad Andrew for allowing us and giving us the opportunity to race their kart that weekend.
Great stuff then. Joseph Mills and Thomas Harper, they're the 2 drivers that will head off this field of Junior Primos. Junior Primo, that's exactly the same karts as what we've just seen out, performance-wise. They are the 125cc water-cooled Rotax engine. Same tyres, same chassis, same everything, same performance level. The difference is basically in age here. This is a 12 and 13-year-old category for drivers with less experience. It's a transition into Junior Rotax, and it's a fine proving ground here as the winner of the kart championship for 2024, Daniel Hartley. He's moved into Junior Rotax and he's proven to be inside the top 10 pretty regularly, and serving an apprenticeship. We talked to Daniel's dad about the benefits of starting in Junior Primo here in the kart championship, and it's got to be said.
I like to see
sense.
it. You hit the nail on the head there with an apprenticeship. They're gaining experience. Sometimes it's all well and good, effectively going straight into junior, straight to university, learning everything you want, but then you've got no experience when you come out of it, and that's why I think Primo is an absolutely perfect stepping stone for our drivers that are just coming out of cadets. You've got plenty of time in juniors. You've got 12 to 15. There's enough years.
It's a lot of time. 5 years, isn't it?
Yeah, effectively, depending on where you sit in the sort of your birthdays and stuff like that, and your weight and your height, because there's a lot of permutations now. But you can certainly now, I feel, a year in junior primo is going to probably do you more benefit than it would harm. Do the learning, and then get yourself up into junior Rotax for the second season.
So Alfie Forrester is the orange cart there, the orange and white cart there. That's just moving off. Alongside him is Zach Kane. They're on the second row of the grid. Alex Forsyth and Cooper Campbell-Lees are on. They're the drivers on row 3. Row 4 is Tyler Davis and Lewis Gilbert. Row 5 is Thomas Butcher and Ronnie Legg. Row 6, Jensen Cook and Jack Moss. Row 7 is Elijah Hartley and Cameron McNeil. Row 8, George Johnson and Noah Jones, with Dominic Darling and JJ Plowman on row 9, and then rounding off 19 carts in this junior primo heat is Matthew Clark.
Yeah, Clark, who qualified on the front row this morning, but then had his time removed for an unknown reason, but it's a
technical reason, wasn't it?
For a technical reason. In that the cart did not meet the requirement of the scrutineer. I would imagine, as Alfie Forrester is off the track on the rolling up lap, dragging his cart back on. Alfie Forrester from third place, the inside of the second row, which put him in second place for heat number 1, and that is on the exit of St John's.
And that's just cold tyres, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's gonna have to go off the back, Joe, because the field are within the yellow flag zone from Marshall Post 6.
Oh, terrible look. Terrible look there. And if they get this race underway, Alfie will just spend his race getting onto the back of the field. They get away at the start now, and that's Thomas Harper on the outside. It's the Origin Motorsport of Joseph Mills, and Harper does it again.
Harper's held on. We've got 2 and 3 off in the background. Sorry, Joe, but there was carnage further on. We've got 7 or 8 carts off the track.
Harper slides wide. He doesn't slide wide. He gets nudged wide by the 89 of Alex
and
Forsyth.
There in the middle.
And that's a concertina effect, isn't it?
Cooper Campbell-Lees, it was the driver in the 11 who was up in the air. We've got Zach Kane off the track, and he appears to be in a little bit of discomfort. We've got another driver off as well further down the track that don't think anybody's noticed up towards the dog leg, but Zach Kane is in a little bit of discomfort, and we've gone to a Battenberg flag. The race is neutralised under effectively a safety car, which will be led by Joseph Mills at the front. We might get a chance to see something further on.
Yeah, more action at the gasworks there as
Dominic Darling.
A bit of a messy, all right, it's 12 and 13-year-old junior Rotax drivers lacking a bit of experience, and with incident aplenty there, we've gone to a Battenberg. Now what that means is that the leading driver, who happens to be Joseph Mills, will effectively become like a safety car. It's like a virtual safety car you might be more familiar with in Formula 1. And Joseph Mills doing a fantastic job there. That's the sort of pace you need. Half race speed during the Battenberg. A little bit quicker than how you start the race, but that'll do. That's good. We've got the field now lining up in line astern order in the way that they came around on that first lap. And basically when we get the carts cleared, the track neutralised, and get everything in order, we'll go green when the race director, Dan Ashton, is happy with how things have been addressed, and they will basically go to a restart where Joseph Mills will be first across the line when he sees the green flag.
Yeah, it'll be single file, and similar to the normal rolling start, the acceleration point is around that yellow line, around about 25 metres before timing. Drivers were told this morning that they are not to be alongside each other after Battenberg. They have to be a full kart length back.
And importantly, David, the clock continues to tick. Important because the more we stay under these neutralised conditions, the less race we have to basically affect. And we've got karts off at the tail of this field, and I'm not sure why.
That's Ronnie Legg with the bright orange helmet, who's gone off the... he's gone through the
Went through the D there,
through
the unused D.
The unused chicane. I don't think I've ever seen that used before. Drivers that are off at the end of the first lap. We've had Zach Kane and Cameron McNeil are the two drivers whose karts you could see one of in the background. And that's Zach Kane's kart. He is still in discomfort. I think he'll be heading towards the medical team. Luckily, he's able to get up and walk, so we don't need the ambulance on track. But he is... I get the feeling he's seen better days, Joe. Yeah,
he got a bit of a bash there, didn't he? The only time I've seen the D used when we used to have a Christmas gathering here, and we ran races back in the early 2000s where we would change the configuration of the track for each heat.
Oh, it was like mint. That.
And we raced through the. I was in at that meeting as well, and you would came out the dog leg. And instead of turning right, you went straight onto the chicane. And muscle memory, as you come out the dog leg, muscle memory was to turn right. And I quickly stopped myself turning right and went straight onto the chicane. Fast. That configuration was very fast.
I wonder if
here we go. I wonder if we're going to go green. We've got karts recovered to way off the track. We've got drivers recovered, more importantly,
I think we are.
to behind the barriers. And I think we are going to go green. Green flag is waved. And Thomas Harper onto the rear bumper of that second-place kart of Alex Forsyth, trying to find a way by. But very much in the lead of this race is Joseph Mills, who will lead through Brian's Bend and on towards the dogleg. The tyres have cooled off slightly, David, but not totally cold, so they will be able to race.
Yeah, they were working their tyres hard for the pretty much the duration of that Battenberg flag, but we've got a half-race sprint now, 3.5 minutes for Joseph Mills, Alex Forsyth, Thomas Harper, Tyler Davis behind there in the yellow, white and black machine in fourth place in front of Thomas Butcher in the 54 kart. Then it's Cooper Campbell-Lees in the 11 who was involved in that incident. He looks to have found a way through. It's Thomas Butcher's fallen down the order. That's him in the M Sport colours. The 54 going very, very slowly round the horseshoe.
The leader has pulled out a bit of a gap as they come out to complete what will be 4 laps completed now. Alex Forsyth dropped about 0.8 of a second. Meanwhile, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth are pretty much nose to tail through Brian's Bend and into the dogleg now. Thomas Harper in the purple and white kart there. The Lando Norris overalls of Alex Forsyth on the number 89. He's with True Performance, of course, the orange and white livery kart. And he's having a very, very solid run into that second place is Alex. Thomas Harper dropping off the back bumper now of that Alex Forsyth kart, it looks like. And as I say that, they close back up again into the braking area for the gasworks.
Harper running in his own livery, but racing out of the awning of Ultima R this weekend in third place. Front of Tyler Davis, Cooper Campbell-Lees and Dominic Darling in the 47 off the back of this train of 6 drivers. Behind them now, it was Thomas Butcher leading the train. It's Matthew Clark for Hunter Motorsport in front of Alfie Forrester, who's recovered back up to 8th place after starting the race in last after the spin on the outlap. Thomas Butcher in 9th, Jensen Cook in 10th.
Here they come then into the first of the centres, into the second centre. It'll be the run up to the chicane. Joseph Mills almost a second now, the gap between first and second. And if anything's going to happen, as things beginning to, for want of a better term, stagnate, it's calmed down, I think, is a better term. As the number 47 there of Dominic Darling now coming up to the tail end of Cooper Campbell-Lees. And if anything's going to happen, it's going to be there at the tail of this field there. And as I say that, everybody filing through turn 1. We've got a minute on the clock though, David, so we're probably getting towards, 2 laps? 2 laps, I think, is going to be
I think
the call.
They'll get round before the time elapses, that's for sure. They're doing 52s, and we've got 52 on the clock. The leader exiting Senna 1 now as we speak, with a gap of around about the second back to Alex Forsyth in second place. So they'll have 2.5 more laps at the moment. Forsyth in that second place. Thomas Harper, who had fallen away, set the fastest lap on the previous race, and as you can see, Joe is right on the back now of Alex Forsyth for second place. Yeah,
he's coming, isn't he? Thomas, bit between his teeth. It's going to be 2 more laps after this one as Joseph Mills crosses the line. 7 laps completed. Alex Forsyth and Thomas Harper The gap is only 23 hundredths of a second as they come through the left-hander O'Brien's Bend and then into the dogleg there, letting the cart breathe over the curb there and even breathe even more over that exit curb, clattering the curb there towards the infield hairpins now. First the left-hander, and Harper's gaining. He's just gaining smidgens, isn't he?
Yeah.
But whether or not those smidgens will amount to a chance to overtake, I think is very questionable, David.
Again, Harper strong through sector 2 and sector 3, hampers himself through sector 1, because what I feel he's doing is in the right-hander before the dogleg. I don't know if the corner has a name. I've never named it anything, but it's the first right into the dogleg. He's clipping the curb on the inside and it's throwing him half a cart length wide, and then he's having to jack it into the right of the dogleg.
I've always classed that as the first part of the dogleg.
So yeah, that first part of the dogleg that they'll come up to, they're going through now, off camera, the bit before this one, he's clipping the curb on the inside and it's opening that gap up, and he's having to work really hard then throughout the rest of the race. We've got a black flag for George Johnston, and I have no idea why.
That might be. We didn't notice a mechanical. George Johnson is down in 13th, so he's not going to have a significant part to play, certainly in the lead battle. Joseph Mills has again dominated another heat, and then True Performance Motorsports, Alex Forsyth, that orange and white cart there. Joseph Mills about to cross the line. There he is, Joseph Mills taking another fine heat win in dominant style. I'm not sure I can see anyone out there who can perhaps get on terms with Joseph Mills. Alex Forsyth for TP, True Performance Motorsport there in second. Thomas Harper with Ultimate Art, but carrying the Silk Cut Jaguar livery. Tyler Davis in fourth, Cooper Campbell-Lees in fifth, Dominic Darling in sixth, Alfie Forrester seventh, Matthew Clark eighth, ninth is Thomas Butcher, and rounding off the top 10 there was Jensen Cook.
Yeah, I don't want to sound too cliche with this, Joe, but I think the only person that can beat Joseph Mills this weekend will be Joseph Mills.
Yeah, good point though, David.
He's got to keep his head at the front, but he's just got to wake up tomorrow with the right mentality. I think he's got the measure of this junior primo grid here this weekend, a circuit that he is very familiar with, but we'll see how he goes tomorrow from pole position for the pre-final tomorrow. It's time already, because it's flown through since we became live at Harper's 12 3.5 hours ago for the final race of the day here at Warden Law.
Well, it's the Senior Rotax second heat. Senior class is brand new to the Kart Championship in their winter series. We saw them out at Wilton Mill, and we had some very good racing. We're here at Warden Law with an excellent first heat for the seniors. About to go out for their second heat. Max Taylor, the Scottish champion, is on the pole position with Rhys Bailey alongside him. We've then got Henry Gregory. Now, we saw how well Henry Gregory, and there's Henry Gregory's kart there. We saw how well he went in the first heat. Let's see if he can match that. Alongside him is Lewis Merica. And then on the third row, Morgan Hudson-Brown and Harry Blower. Row 4 is Ben Horner and LRG Motorsports' Marcus King. Row 5 is Stephen Napier and Angus Scrivener. Harry Hurst-Grover and William Eberhardt share row 6. Sam Kelbrick and Ethan Head share row 7. Mark McGilvray as alongside Luca Palazzo on row 8. Ian Hughes and Molly Pugh are on row 9. Row 10 is Elliot Foster and Mark Gillibrand. And then Jack West rounds off what is a 21 kart field.
Well, let's remember Jack West in heat number 1 went from 21st to run well inside the top 5. He's got the pace. He was joint second in qualifying. Whether he was second or third, I don't know, but it's at exactly the same time as Rhys Bailey, but another driver falling foul of technical, and that means he started both heats from the back. But in heat 1 was very, very impressive.
Can you remember where he finished? I shall have a quick look.
I think he was
actually
on track. I think he was 4th. Whether that carried over with any post-race penalties in Senior Rotax heat number 1.
So he came third.
He was
he
third,
made
yes.
18 places.
What was the penalties like down the bottom? I'm sure there was a fair few. There was.
I'm trying to think of who finished ahead of him. Yeah.
Harry Bloor was up there, wasn't he, in the 44 potentially? But
we had 3 5-second penalties for nose cone infringements, and then 2 for unfair advantages deemed by the. I think that's maybe sort of
tap and
bit
take.
Of, bit of contact,
a little
and
bit
then
of nudge and find a way through.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jack West 21st to 3rd in heat number 1. Can he repeat it in heat number 2?
So when something like that happens for a technical infringement, and you then spend the rest of the weekend or the rest of the day, trying to regain ground on the rest of the field, hopefully to put yourself in a position in the super final to be where you should have been after qualifying. Jack West needs to do that, but it's a big ask.
Very much so. The saying that trophies are only handed out on Sundays is very prevalent, but for Jack West, he's just giving himself a chance now from 21st to 3rd in the first instalment of Senior Rotax. Now sees himself going off 21st and last once again. Let's see how he fares this time round for Jack.
We had a massive train of karts that could have gone anywhere, couldn't it? And with that kind of mix-up of the grid for various reasons, that's perhaps why we saw such a close battle. The 2 Craft Motorsport drivers down from Scotland, great to have them here, Max Taylor and Rhys Bailey. They went off at the start, and then we had the sequence of events that brought in all sorts of drama and intensity, didn't we?
Yeah, we've already got false start flags already, even though the field is fairly reasonably gridded up. So we're going to have a second roll round.
Yeah, that might be that might be to give the drivers a chance to get some heat into their tyres. The sun's very much dipped onto the edge of the horizon, and there's obviously a temperature inversion there, and that can cause a bit of dew on the track and a little bit of dampness to start to appear. So probably good thinking there once again from race director Dan Ashton to give the senior drivers another chance to get some further bit of heat, get the tyres up to their optimum and running temperature, and it gives us a steady start, doesn't it? It gives drivers a more consistent handling to what they're used to in these early laps, and that's great thinking.
Yeah, well, you've hit the nail on the head, Joe, because I've just had a message that says extra lap for heating tyres from race director Dan Ashton.
Yeah, that was the only thing I could see that was apparent.
Yeah, and I can understand why, particularly with the extra speed that these senior Rotaxes will be attacking this first corner at here at Wilton Mill. Out of Paddock Bend they come then into the tram lines. The final race of the day is underway as Craft Motorsport duo Rhys Bailey and Max Taylor lead us over the line. Taylor is through into the lead, but it's Henry Gregory from the inside of the second row up into second place already.
And Rhys Bailey already been disadvantaged from where he was there and ending up around the outside. He couldn't really do anything about losing that second place, and discretion certainly being the better part of valor. We've seen how determined Henry Gregory can be. He certainly was in Heat 1, and once again he does exactly the same in Heat 2. And if the Scottish champion isn't careful, we're going to see an already defensive lines appearing into the gasworks. The Scottish champion Max Taylor having to defend into the gasworks because he got caught out in the first heat, didn't he?
He did.
Henry Gregory straight down the inside, and we're going to see that again, I think.
Well, Dan Ashton said in the driver briefing this morning, you can white line on lap 1, you can do it in lap 3, or on the final lap, sorry. Henry Gregory, though, hands second place over to a charging Morgan Hudson-Brown. Rhys Bailey's fallen back through the field down into P5. Morgan Hudson-Brown, who took his time in heat number 1 to come through towards the front, and to finish, I think, in second place in that first heat of the day. He is making the moves early on. Heat 1 winner Henry Gregory is up into second place.
That's what I mean, David, about this senior Max field of drivers. It's like trying to pick a winner. Yeah, you can see a dominant run from Henry Gregory, I should say, but Morgan Hudson-Brown, and plus they're not necessarily out on the same kart setup as they were in the first heat. They've learnt from that first heat. the temperature's different. You're going to have a little bit of track knowledge come into play, and we're going to see drivers performing in slightly different ways. And certainly Morgan Hudson-Brown's kart has switched on a lot quicker than he perhaps switched it on in Heat 1, and already challenging that Max Taylor on that S-plate in the lead of this race. And down the inside at the centre S, the first left-hander, can he hang on to it into the second one, which is a right-hander? And he does in fine style.
Superb move by Morgan Hudson-Brown, and has already gapped Max Taylor slightly, because Taylor then had to defend Henry Gregory. Still defending Henry Gregory, not defending him hard enough though. Gregory down the inside into Gasworks, and Max Taylor goes from third to first in the blink of an eye.
All about momentum out the chicane, and then when it got to the braking area, he just slammed it down the inside. And again, I think great driving from both of those drivers, the driver being overtaken and the driver doing the overtaking, because it's pointless trying to stop that happening, because it's happening.
It's too early in the race to be too robust. Morgan Hudson-Brown then leads from Henry Gregory and Max Taylor, Rhys Bailey and Ben Horner. Stephen Napier with a good opening few laps up to sixth in front of Harry Bloor, Lewis Merica, Ethan Head and Angus Scrivener. Jack West, who we expected to come through the field like he did in Heat 1, not quite so much so this time round, currently P15.
Yeah, plenty of time though. We're still just 5 minutes to go. Still only 3 minutes into this. Morgan Hudson-Brown has pulled a bit of a gap. It's almost 0.8 of a second there, as Henry Gregory has the two Craft karts right behind him in the form of Max Taylor and Rhys Bailey. Ben Horner's not that far behind, and Ben Horner on the number 12 there, just at the back end of that train. I get a feeling that, is there an element of just following one another at this stage and not really sizing up a chance to make it through? It's too early, isn't it, to go? Because you can easily be re-overtaken at the most important and critical part, which is towards the flag.
Horner goes very wide on the exit of St John's and clips a bit of the grass. The driver fresh out of junior Rotax is Ben Horner, and you can see it's falling away off the back of Rhys Bailey. He's now under pressure from Harry Bloor and Stephen Napier in the background there. So mistake from Horner, and all of a sudden he's gone from a 5-kart battle for the lead to a 3-kart battle just to hold on to 5th place.
Now then, the question is, as they cross the line, the gap was about 0.8 of a second. It's not anymore, it's 0.5 of a second, as the gap between Morgan Hudson-Brown on that bright orange and white Ultimate R kart to the blue and white kart of Henry Gregory is coming down, and very quickly that gap has almost disappeared as we come through and into the first of the centre hairpins and into the second one. And definitely Henry Gregory is now, I would say that's kind of on the bumper of the leader, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd agree. Morgan Hudson-Brown, who's gone from 5th place up to the lead, which suggests to me that he's gone a lot higher on tyre pressure to get the power early, to try and get to the front, to try and break the toe of the train behind. But the train behind for the last couple of laps have been very compliant in working together to an extent. Henry Gregory once again taking a little fraction out of Morgan Hudson-Brown, not quite as much as on the previous lap, but still with 3 minutes to go. Henry Gregory dragging Max Taylor along with him as well. This has got all the makings of a showdown final few laps.
Yeah, nice. We're almost we're 45 seconds from the 2-minute warning, which is a metaphorical saying in my head for sure, as we get the change of body language from the drivers in this situation. They know time and opportunity is running out towards the last 2 minutes of this race, and Morgan Hudson-Brown, if anything, seems to have responded with the presence in his peripheral. He not so much sees the kart behind him, but he can certainly hear. He'll hear the engine note from Henry Gregory's kart, the blue and white kart there, out of the final turn. Max Taylor going with him though, I've got to say, David. Max Taylor on that blue and red Craft Motorsport kart, hanging on to Henry Gregory, I should say, as Morgan Hudson-Brown. He's got a bit of a gap, but the gap, again, 3.39, it's about a 10th difference. Whether or not he can just hold on to that lead now. We're inside the final 2 minutes. And like I said, David, time and opportunity becoming very, very sparse.
Yeah, Gregory takes a 10th out of Morgan Hudson-Brown. It was less than that on the previous lap. They're chipping away slowly at Morgan Hudson-Brown, but they're running out of time. Henry Gregory and Max Taylor. And at what point now does Taylor feel that he can attack Henry Gregory? Because the first attack that Max Taylor makes on Henry Gregory, Morgan Hudson-Brown's got this in the bag.
Yeah, that's what Morgan Hudson Brown is kind of hoping for. And yes, here it comes, because Max Taylor won second place. It's all about getting more points on the kart. So second place is better than third, obviously, and it'll get you higher up the grid in the superheat. And then the superheat, it's all about getting onto that grid for the final. So yes, the witching hour is here. We're inside the final minute. There'll be 2 more laps after this one. So time and opportunity becoming scarce, like I said the previous lap. Let's see just how competitive these drivers are in comparison to one another. And again, they just all look like they're absolutely flat chat into that Gasworks hairpin.
2 laps to go as they'll cross the timing line with enough to get over this time, but not next time. Morgan Hudson Brown crosses the timing line with a gap of half a second as Henry Gregory defends Max Taylor into the first corner, and that's only going to slow the 2 of them down in the quest to try and close in on Morgan Hudson Brown. But Brown hasn't had a particularly stellar first sector either.
No, they're coming towards him, and that's because Henry Gregory has kind of upped the pace to keep Max Taylor at bay. And as long as Max Taylor doesn't try coming alongside, Henry Gregory will close that gap to Morgan Hudson Brown. They're towards the Gasworks for the penultimate time, and it will be into this corner here. And look at that, the gap has disappeared.
Yeah,
we did have a leader that was eking out a bit of a cushion, but I tell you what, David, that looks like it's a 3-card battle for the lead now.
It certainly is. I'm absolutely adamant Hudson Brown's gone a few psi higher on tyre pressure than those behind us, and now he's just hanging on to this one. But he's done enough at the moment with 1 lap to go. The gap is down by 1.5, 4/10 of a second. Hudson Brown leads Gregory, Taylor and Rhys Bailey 1 second between the top 4.
It's going to be a battle all the way to the flag, and don't discount Max Taylor wanting that second place more than he wants the third. It's definitely about this. The stretching of the legs onto the back straight is where Morgan Hudson Brown really finds the gap, as Henry Gregory, perhaps the last opportunity for an outbreak, but he's too far away for that, and as is everyone else. The 2 Craft Motorsport karts there in 3rd and 4th. They come together as well, but time running out, David, as they come out of the final turn. It'll be the checkered flag for this lot.
Superb run by Morgan Hudson Brown to the checkered flag. He wins Senior Rotax Heat number 2 from Henry Gregory and Max Taylor. Rhys Bailey and Harry Bloor in front of Ben Horner, Angus Scrivener and Jack West from 21st to 8th in Heat number 2 after a 3rd place in Heat number 1. Then it's Stephen Napier, Lewis Merricker and Harry Hurst-Grover, Marcus King, Sam Kelbreck, Matt McGilvery and Ethan Head complete your top 15 in front of Palazzo, Eberhard, Hughes, Foster, Pugh and Mark Gillibrand, who retired on lap number 6.
I just wonder if we would have seen anything different if that was tomorrow's final. You know what I mean? Whether we would have seen some sort of moves. We've got to wait until 10 o'clock tomorrow, I'm being told, before we can answer that question. Well, actually, we've got until tomorrow afternoon before we can answer that question as to how different it will be. We bid you farewell then, David. It's been, as ever, we've had some great races throughout the classes here this afternoon. The weather, I'm told, is going to stay the same. So I think we're going to see more of the same tomorrow. Join us tomorrow where we bring you all of the action from our Super Heats and Final. And we begin our coverage at 10 a.m. in the morning. So, have your bacon roll and your coffee with us on Karting Live TV. David, another great day's racing in the Kart Championship as ever.
Well, it certainly is. If today was the appetizer, tomorrow's main course is to be looked forward to. It's been a great day's racing so far. Today here at Warden Law. We can't do any more because it's getting dark, unfortunately, but we're going to be back nice and early tomorrow morning.
Which is what you would expect in a winter series. I just want to thank our cameramen. We've been here. I'm a little bit disgruntled, Nick. We're going to have to sort this out. The heat has gone off.
Oh.
I've got it. It's whatever. I need an electrician. But big thank you to Ash, Martin and Paul, our cameramen who've been braving the very cool weather here at Warden Law. We'll see you back at Warden Law in the morning. We'll see you at 10 o'clock back here on Karting Live TV.